Central Florida Acura dealers, exhilaration comes standard.
What you're hearing and what you're seeing is Nicole right now making its way across Central Florida at 6 this morning.
You're watching Spectrum News 13, and we are here giving you the very latest, a front row seat to everything that is happening as this storm moves across our region.
We've got our reporters fanned out across the area, providing you live pictures from the coastal counties and also inland. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Ibeth Brusual.
And I'm Curtis McLeod. Again, we have our team of reporters fanned out, being your eyes, your ears, your everything as we make our way through this storm. Our second storm we've seen make landfall here in our area.
Yeah, just 6 weeks ago we had Ian, and now we're dealing with Nicole. At the bottom of your screen, if you're waking up trying to catch up, we've got all the updated information. Let's go ahead and continue our live team coverage right now with our team of certified meteorologists by Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick, our leader, and we've got Maureen McCann and also Chris Gilson. So where are we tracking the worst right now?
Well, Ebeth and Curtis, looks like the worst is moving through parts of Orange and Seminole County. We've been watching those wind gusts really increase, Chris, and some camera shots that have been pretty interesting as well.
Live look at our Alyssa.com weather camera in Sanford near Lake Monroe. You can see the camera bouncing around in the wind, and you can also see the palm trees there being blown around in the wind. We had wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour there in Sanford, 63 mile per hour wind gusts at the Orlando International Airport, up to 70 miles per hour in Daytona Beach. And Daytona Beach down to Orlando, Marine, is where we're seeing the heaviest rain right now, with the band setting up on Clystron 13.
Yeah, the focus is shifting out of Brevard County in terms of the heaviest rain. Now that what's left of the center is moving into Osceola County, we are seeing some very heavy rain, wind-driven rain, move over the Orlando metro area, and we're also finding up the I-4 corridor some heavier rain in Volusia County. I think the area to watch next is going to be these clusters coming on shore within this band offshore, Ormond Beach, Holly Hill, Flagler Beach. And there's the small chance for rotation within some of these bands. We see that with any tropical system. Fortunately, it has been low so far, but knock on wood, we are not done with that low tornado threat yet.
And just to piggyback off that one, we do have a tornado watch for parts of the area. I have a feeling it does include Flagler County. We'll graphically get that in. That was just issued just a short time ago. And as we watch the potential for that rotation, Ebeth and Curtis, as Maureen was just mentioning, some spin-ups are still possible. We will have that tornado watch just fresh, hot into the Weather Center coming up in just a little bit.
We will definitely be all ears and waiting and watching for any new updates from the Weather Center this morning.
Let's go ahead and start now checking in with our crews in Seminole County. That's where we go right now with, we've got Jesse Canales, who's joining us just steps away from Lake Monroe, and that part of Central Florida is really seeing some bad conditions right now. Hey, Jesse.
Hey, Beth, and all morning we've been talking about Lake Monroe Hospital, about a study that Harvard did that showed that this hospital faced a Category 1 hurricane, and they say that there's potential that the water will be inundated inside the hospital. But take a look here. Here's what it looks like right now. The parking lot, a section of the parking lot here at Lake Monroe Hospital is flooded. Now, this happened during Hurricane Ian, which was a Category 1 hurricane, and just like Ian, so far all the water is limited to that parking lot. You can see the barriers. That's where the water stops and no longer goes anywhere closer to the hospital. And I walked through it, and it was actually knee-deep. And if you're wondering where that water is coming from, it's not only the rain, it's also all the water from Lake Monroe. Look at that. Nicole pushing a lot of Lake Monroe water above the seawall, and all that water is crashing into the roads, and some coming in here at the hospital. Now we'll continue to monitor the situation, but for now, reporting live in Tampa, Jessica Canales,
Jesse Canales reporting live there in Sanford, and as bad as that parking area of the hospital looked,
yes,
it actually looked worse because they just covered a bigger, longer chunk in front of the hospital, but it's just their parking area. And as bad as it looked, it was looking worse 6 weeks ago.
It definitely was. I actually drove by too and saw it, and it was, like you said, definitely worse there. So, all right, now we want to go ahead and bring in, I believe at this point in time, we want to go ahead and bring in Will Robinson Smith, track up over to Brevard County now, where he has been most of the morning.
Yeah, and so compared to us, Will, this storm now compared to what you were covering 6 weeks ago with Ian, which one do you think is the worst right now for you?
Here in Brevard, probably Nicole. You know, with Hurricane Ian, we sort of saw it scatter around the Space Coast. Got a little bit of a nicking up in the Titusville Mims area, but the vast majority of Brevard was spared that time around. This go, we're getting a lot of wind, and that's really being the driver of the impacts at this hour. More than 53,000 customers have been knocked out at this hour. But we did have a chance to get some video in the area where we are right now. We're at Titusville, again, near Kennedy Space Center. This is what it looks like around here. Now that we're getting a little bit later on in the morning, some of the crews that are staying here at this hotel, waking up, getting ready to hit the road. And that includes FBL and some of the arborists from across the Southeast, including Evergreen, Alabama. We spoke with one of those men, and he said a silver lining of tonight is that a lot of the vulnerable trees that they may have to deal with were already assessed during Hurricane Ian, which was the last storm that they responded to.
Well, you know, it's a different storm, and different way it's coming in. We weren't right by the surge last time, so, you know, it's not going to be as bad, but Ian was a big mess. I think a lot of the tree clearing and whatnot that we do has already been done for Ian just a month ago, so we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, and it's a wait-and-see game for a lot of the crews out here because, as you can see behind me, the wind's slightly calmer right now, but still whipping around a good piece here on the Space Coast. So they have to kind of wait for some of the winds to die down, especially if they need to get up in the bucket trucks and respond to some of those downed trees impacting power lines and causing a lot of these outages. Reporting live here in Titusville, Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News 13.
All right, Will, thank you so much for that live report. I know earlier we spoke with a representative from Florida Power and Light, and they were saying that they were waiting till those winds got down to about 35 miles per hour, and then they would send crews out to kind of assess and start restoring power.
Because right now it's not safe for anybody.
Not at all.
Speaking of power, we want to share with you some video that we got earlier this morning from Melbourne showing what appears to be, I mean, it's a transformer explosion in the distance. That's what that pop and those different colors are. One of our viewers, Aaron Miller, thank you for sending in this video to us earlier this morning. You can see the sky lighting up over the trees, and we're getting reports from our different reporters out in the field seeing this kind of stuff out in the distance. According to the Florida Power and Light, the numbers continue to go up. Sadly, a couple hours ago in Brevard County, they were looking at 17,000. Then the number went up to 21,000+.
Right now we're at 71,000.
Look at that.
71,560.
Which makes sense because whenever the wind is whipping up in the storm, it's on the move, literally, then we start to see the numbers go up because the power is going out. Chris Gilson is joining us now with a quick look at what we can expect when you come back here looking about the forecast.
Yeah, we have a new tornado watch that includes Flagler County that runs until 1 o'clock this afternoon. We have some heavy bands of rain working into Volusia County and Flagler County. We'll time out the rain. Take a look at that tornado watch when we come back. With Fleischer on 13, there's a look at the watch that runs until 1 o'clock. That's just for Flagler County.
Proudly celebrating 25 years as part of the Central Florida community. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
Central Florida is a community where people quickly become connected with one another.
When you watch your evening news, you'll see a reflection of yourself, your issues, your neighborhood.
And I hope by seeing our stories, people become better informed and inspired to be involved in our communities.
We're stronger together, and I feel lucky to be able to call this home. Join us for your evening news on Spectrum News 13 and on the Spectrum News app.
So this carpet is super soft, but it's also very tough. Is that something that would interest you? I'm going to say yes. Sweet.
Waterproof, pet-proof, kid-proof floors that fit your life at the guaranteed lowest price. Just one of the reasons Flooring America is where friends send friends.
I had a spot on my arm that wouldn't heal, so I called the Dermatology Institute.
The Dermatology Institute of Brevard with Dr. Cynthia Howson, board-certified dermatologist, treating a wide variety of skin conditions. Dr. Howson personally supervises all care.
Here at the Institute, we study, diagnose, and treat all skin problems, giving people their confidence back.
Now my grandkids are all I worry about.
The Dermatology Institute of Brevard, skincare for the whole family.
Black Friday, Appliance Direct. Brand new Whirlpool, dual ice French door refrigerator in the box. 12 payments, $192 per month, 0 down, 0 interest. 12 payments, $192 per month, 0 down, 0 interest. Black Friday, Appliance Direct. If you didn't buy direct,
you paid too much.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Toyota of Melbourne, where we have a Toyota for every budget, and every Toyota has a lifetime warranty. Working hard to earn your business.
6:11 now on this Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick and Maureen McCann. And we have a new tornado watch that includes one of our counties here in Central Florida, that being Flagler County. Runs until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So that means conditions are favorable for a couple of cells to potentially rotate and develop a brief tornado. So we're going to be watching that risk as we head through the rest of the morning into the early afternoon. Wider view of what's going on with Tropical Storm Nicole. Winds are at 70 miles per hour. We'll get another update here at the top of the hour at 7 o'clock. You can see the band of heavier rain setting up from right along the coast in Flagler County, Volusia County, back now into Marion County, and even along the Gulf Coast around Tampa. They're getting some tropical storm force winds. Winds have been really strong along our East Coast during the overnight hours. Now we're seeing the strongest winds a little bit farther west, farther inland, along the I-4 corridor, winds gusting over 60 miles per hour in Daytona Beach and Sanford, 52 mile per hour wind gusts in Orlando. So as Nicole continues to track across Central Florida, we are looking at that heavy rain, high wind threat, and even to the north, that chance for a few tornadoes to potentially develop. Some of this heavy rain working over the Orlando metro area. Notice along the 528 in eastern Orange County starting to clear out a little bit. So the heavier activity pushing back to the west into Claremont, Leesburg, and the Villages. So we didn't see much activity during the overnight in Sumter and Marion counties. That's changing now with some steadier rain heading your way. And this rain stretches up into Volusia County over DeLand, Orange City, down into Seminole County and Sanford, Daytona Beach, Port Orange, everything rotating around the center of Nicole, out of the Atlantic, and up toward Flagler Beach and Palm Coast. We're going to go up here into Flagler Beach and Palm Coast and Ormond Beach in northern Volusia County, put a pause on the radar, and it's really this area here, these bands that are coming off the Atlantic and into Flagler County, that we are going to have to watch for maybe that potential for some rotation. So as we take a look at the winds and going inside what's going on here with some of this heavier activity here in Flagler County and right off the coast, getting some of that higher wind gusts, potentially around 40 to 50 miles per hour, just to the east of Palm Coast and Flagler Beach. So the winds will continue to pick up here along the coast and along the I-95 corridor in Flagler County. We'll take another look here at that potential for some rotation. And we're not seeing anything overly significant here, but this is going to be the area that we watch as we go through the remainder of the morning into the afternoon for that potential for a tornado or two there in Flagler County. So everything's along I-4, points to the east, a little bit of a break here in portions of Brevard County, but we could have some higher winds return to Brevard County as we go through the morning. So Nicole is going to continue to track to the west and northwest. Areas west of I-4 will see some of the heavier rain and the higher winds likely through about 10, 11 o'clock. And notice most of us start to really clear out pretty quickly. As early as noon, 1 o'clock, we could see the stronger activity focus around Nicole, farther to the north across northern Florida into southern Georgia, and then on the back side of it, we start to clear things out as we head into the overnight hours, and the weekend is looking a lot better. So the headline this hour now is that we have a brand new tornado watch for Flagler County that runs until 1 o'clock. We'll have another update coming up in less than 10 minutes. Curtis, Cindy, Beth?
All right, thank you so much for that, Chris. Time right now is 6:14 as you continue to join us here on Spectrum News 13. You know, Flagler County residents along the coast and A1A have asked to evacuate because of the storm. And we just learned, right, from our severe weather experts that there's a tornado watch in Flagler County until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Let's go ahead and show you a live look. There it is at that pier. As we've been bringing you live pictures, here's how I'm describing this thing. We would see layers of waves. The edges of those waves were white. Now we just see solid white, and it's pounding wave after wave, pounding the shoreline. And as we pan over to the right, we see just the wind flapping those hazard, block, the tape that's been put up hours ago, actually yesterday. And it's just a really bad situation there. But you know who's there? Nick Popham. Let's go ahead and check in with him live now to see what is happening. And we see the wind whipping up behind you there, my friend.
Yeah, Beth, it really makes a difference these last 40 minutes. It makes sense that we're now in a tornado watch here in Flagler County. The wind has picked up drastically from the last time we spoke with you guys just 40 minutes ago. Behind me here is the Atlantic Ocean. We're here at Flagler Beach, and the waves have progressively picked up and gotten even stronger. Just a few minutes ago, saw some waves actually make it right to where this area is behind me here and crashing up against the wall. It's only happening at rare occasions, so it's not something to be overtly concerned with yet, but it's something that we're taking into consideration as the morning progresses to see if we need to move a little further back from the shoreline, making sense that this area was evacuated because, man, this storm has really just picked up within the last few minutes. Seeing some signs teeter back and forth, looking like they could be potentially ripped off, and it's, again, something that we weren't seeing just a few minutes ago, and now it's really just started to pick up. So when the sun comes up, we'll be able to have a better idea as to what the area looks like. For now, it's just feeling the gusts make its way through Flagler Beach and just trying to stay upright as this wind continues to push. But we'll continue to monitor it and give you the very latest. But for now, live in Flagler Beach, I'm Nick Popham. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, thank you so much for that. Nick Popham reporting live there from Flagler County. Again, if you're just joining us in that part of Central Florida, Flagler County, they are under tornado watch until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Again, we invite you to look at the very bottom of your screen. Our producers are constantly updating the information about closures and any other details. Jerry Hume joining us now, coming back into the mix to show us and explain to us the new information regarding the hazards on the roadways right now.
Yeah, and Beth, a brand new crash on the Turnpike. This is going to be Florida's Turnpike. This is southbound at the 408, and we've got two left lanes are blocked. See, there is a little bit more of a traffic out there here now in the 6 o'clock hour. Again, we recommend you stay off the roads because still dealing with those hazardous conditions. Another crash on the Turnpike. This is Florida's Turnpike northbound at the beach line. We've got this semi-tractor trailer. It is sideways here. You can see traffic's getting by in a single right lane, but it is slow going out there. Over on the coast, want to take you there. This is a look at conditions for our drive on State Road 40 and Nova Road. No vehicles on the road, still under that curfew right there, so that is good news, keeping everyone out of the at home right now and keeping them off the roads. On the 408, watching some slick conditions. This is going to be 408 near 50. We'll continue to track the latest with Nicole with another update from Maureen and Chris. It's coming up. We'll leave you with this shot right now. You're watching Spectrum News 13.
Marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
The following portion of Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
No nonsense for small business means everything you need, nothing you don't. You need speed. Spectrum delivers the fastest internet speeds in the nation. You need to stay connected. They give you Spectrum Business Voice with unlimited long distance and tons of added features. You need outstanding value. Get internet at 600 megabits per second for only $49.99 a month and Business Voice for $19.99 a month. Plus, add Spectrum Mobile for just $29.99 a month. That's everything you need. Now, what don't you need?
Nonsense.
No nonsense. Yes, no contracts, no surprise fees, no added taxes. Get 600 meg internet for only $49.99 and Business Voice for $19.99. And they throw in the no nonsense for free. Call 833-645-0666 and switch to Spectrum Business today.
Hi, honey. Hey, Mom. How's it going? Did Nana's stuffing have rosemary or thyme? Both. Yeah, both, of course. Oh, you found them.
Yeah, I got it.
Let me see it. Okay. I like it short. Really? Hello again. Is it 300 or 350? 350. Me and the best time. Look. I'm just letting it cool for a few minutes. How's everything going there? It's a little quiet, you know, just me and Dad. We miss you. I think it was you who ate the pie, dear. I did not. Dad was there. Ask him. Oh, I gotta go, Mom. Okay, honey, love bye. You. Bye.
Hasn't she made that stuffing like 1,000,000 times before?
Morning. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Marie McCann and Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick. Getting a lot of new wind reports coming in.
Yeah, 66 miles per hour out of Orlando Executive Airport. That's what I was just reading over here. There's a lot of reports to keep up with, especially knowing that the peak of the winds is happening right now for the Orlando metro area and soon to be shifting west and to the north.
And new this hour, we're also watching that potential for a few tornadoes, mainly to the north of our area. And we're seeing the yellow, that's a tornado watch for Flagler County. That stretches up toward the Jacksonville area. Watch means conditions are favorable for a few cells to try and rotate, maybe spin up a brief tornado, which is par for the course when we have a tropical system rolling across the region. We've been fortunate during the overnight hours that hasn't been a major concern, but we could see that with some of the activity that is moving off the coast of the Atlantic waters and pushing into Flagler County. A live look at downtown Orlando from White Coat Realtors Hallmark Property Skycam. The rain coming down, you can tell the camera kind of bouncing around in the higher winds that we have in place, with those winds around 60 miles per hour, 66 miles per hour to Orlando Executive Airport. So we're seeing the heavier bands stretching from around Jacksonville into St. Johns County and Flagler County and then back into the Tampa area. So Nicole having a wide spread impacts here from northern Florida back toward the Gulf Coast and even down to Fort Myers, seeing some of the heavier rain as we begin this Thursday. And as we go through the rest of the morning, we'll see some of the heavier rain kind of shifting back to the west along I-4 through Lake and Sumter and Marion counties. Sumter and Marion counties have been fairly quiet for the most part, but we're seeing the heavier pockets of rain kind of filling in around Ocala, Bellevue, the villages, Wildwood, Bushnell, and Terrytown, seeing some of the heavier rain, but we're seeing the activity kind of break up a little bit as far as the rain goes in Brevard County and Osceola County. So along I-4, Orlando, stretching down toward Polk County into Volusia County and up toward Flagler County is where the heaviest activity is. So I mentioned Flagler County is under that tornado watch. We don't have any warnings right now, but we're going to be watching for this activity that's coming off the coast, for that potential that we could see some rotation. You can see that here we're seeing the shades of lights greens off the coast of Flagler County, that maybe some of that activity could try to rotate a bit as it gets a little bit closer. But again, no warnings at this time. It's just something that we have to be aware of. So if you're in Marineland, Palm Coast, Flagler Beach, Bunnell, have ways to get weather alerts through the morning, and we of course will bring you any weather alerts as we get them. So a lot of rain across the area, and that's a big concern after all the flooding that we had after Ian. And with a look at the latest on the water along the St. Johns River, let's send it back over to Maureen.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, bring back in our river flood graphic. We used this a lot during Ian because so often we were in major flood stage, and we made some progress seeing those levels start to go down the last few weeks, but Now they're back up to major flood stage in Astor along the St. Johns. That's moderate flooding, so the next tier down for DeLand and above Lake Harney. Also monitoring the Little Wekiva River at Altamont Springs. So the St. Johns River has made it into major flood stage. It is projected to crest at 4.3 feet, and that's where it is right now. We get hourly updates in, so this is from the 5:30 report. We'll get new information in with 6:30. That's when this gauge releases the hydrograph. But going forward, you can see it's going to be in major flood stage. That's everything from the dotted line to the right. That's looking ahead through Tuesday on what that river level will do. So, Chris, I know we're going to be looking at additional wet weather as we see the rainfall today, but at least it's not going to be something that lasts for much longer than tomorrow.
No, we're actually going to see a clearing and improving conditions maybe as early as noon, 1 o'clock. So this is beginning right now, and this is a look at where the placement is of the rain, which is basically what I just showed you a moment ago on Klystron 13. So this forecast model has a pretty good handle on the placement of the heavier rain. So as we go into 11 o'clock noon, we could see most of the stronger weather kind of shifting back to the north and west away from central Florida. And as we go into the evening tonight, 7 to 8 o'clock, outside of still maybe some windy conditions and some spotty showers on the southern side of Nicole, looking a lot better as we go into this evening and as we head into your Friday. So the worst of the weather is really over the next few hours, and we're going to be watching for the storm surge threat here in Brevard County and Volusia County as we go toward high tide, which is going to occur around 8:30 and 9 o'clock. We'll have more on that potential and also the latest on Nicole coming up as we head toward the next half hour. Beth and Curtis.
Thank you, Chris Gilson. Okay, time right now is 6:26 as you're just waking up. We're gathering more information from our crews that are fanned out across the area. We want to go ahead and keep things in-house for just a little bit. Ashley Mills joining us live once again from our control room to give us the very latest details. By the way, it's my first time working with you. I know you were gone for a couple of months to have your baby, and now you're back at work here at Spectrum News. So what you got for us now?
What a time to rejoin you guys. A lot going on right now, but this is the new normal, almost. We'll get past this, and then maybe things will be a little bit more normal. But to follow up on what Maureen was saying about some of the flooding concerns in Seminole County, that's what we want to focus on right now. So a lot of that water left over from Ian, as the emergency manager told us. These are images, though, in Sanford, just of Lake Monroe. It just kind of gives you an idea overnight of how violent the wind was, those waves cresting over the banks there, and just kind of shows you the amount of water coming in and that rain really causing some flooding concerns, all things considered. The emergency manager of Seminole County said that was the real focus right now, and he spoke to us on conditions just a little bit ago. Take a listen.
We already had, of course, water on the roadway, believe it or not, from Hurricane Ian. That was just starting to go away along the St. Johns River in some areas, and unfortunately this is just going to compound that, and then some localized flooding as well. So we've had quite a few traffic crashes this morning, so we're asking people, if you have to get out, please don't. If you don't have to get out, but if you have to get out, please drive carefully. Traffic signals, some traffic signals are out now. We have a little over right at 4,500 customers without power, so some of those will be traffic signals. And be very, very careful as you're driving around. Already quite a few accidents today.
Of course, our experts are always on top of the traffic and weather updates. We're also tracking those power outages for you, and we'll continue to check in throughout the morning. Live in the control room, Ashley Mills, Spectrum News 13.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Time right now is 6:28. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have more local coverage. I want to remind you that Flagler County is under a tornado watch until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Live pictures on your screen of the Flagler Beach Pier. We'll be right back, everybody.
Local forecast is brought to you by Great Southeast Flooring America in Melbourne, where it costs no more to do it right.
An accident can happen in the blink of an eye, but the resulting damages can last a lifetime. If you've been injured in an accident, you need a law firm with real experience to help ensure you receive the fair compensation you deserve. If you have questions, we have answers. Think high.
Drive your new Toyota home today when you visit Toyota of Melbourne. Tired of hearing about low inventory or how you have to pre-order your vehicle? Toyota of Melbourne has you covered with 65 new Toyotas available right now and 200 more on the way. We've got new 22 and 23 Camrys, Corollas, RAV4s, Highlanders, and Tacomas on the lot right now. Every new Toyota comes with a lifetime warranty, so your new Toyota will always be in good hands. Find the perfect Toyota and drive it home today from Toyota of Melbourne. Working hard to earn your business.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS, the better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-951-2391. That's 1-800-951-2391.
For over 50 years, the lawyers at High Stack Law Firm have gained the skills and experience necessary to tackle any case with any defendant and any insurance company. We provide the highest level of service to injured people. If you've been injured, think High Stack.
Your morning news presented by your Central Florida Acura dealers. Exhilaration comes standard.
Wind-driven rain, power outages, storm surge. This is happening right now across Central Florida.
Yeah, and we have crews all across the region here to help you get through it as we make our way to daylight.
We're pausing and pivoting because now is when we're feeling the most intense impacts of the storm. So glad you're with us in the overnight hours, and now we're live at 6:31. I'm Yvette Brusoil.
And I'm Curtis McLeod. We continue team coverage right now as we continue to track Nicole across the Sunshine State. Not so sunshine right now, but we'll get back there this weekend. We've got a crew with us, helping you get through all of this.
Yeah, and we're watching things literally turn and change by the minute, I would say. Let's go ahead and check in with our severe weather experts right now. We've got our chief, Brian Carrick, Maureen McCann, and Chris Gilson. Take it away from here, guys.
And Curtis, speaking of sun, we are actually looking at sunrise this morning at 6:44. Obviously not going to see sunrise, but we are starting to see some light. And Chris, images from our cameras are getting a little more impressive now.
Yeah, the rough surf, and as the sun begins to come up and the cameras get a little bit more light, we are going to see sights like this. Dangerous surf along our east coast and a lot of coastal erosion, and we saw yesterday throughout the day in Volusia County and along the coast in Flagler County what the waves were doing to the coastline. So we're going to be getting close to the tides, the high tides that is, as we head toward about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. Here's a look at those tide times. In Daytona Beach, high tide today is at 8:53, and then in Cocoa Beach, 8:36. So the storm surge is going to become a big factor here in about 2 hours as we approach that time for high tide. Maureen?
And yeah, we also have the threat for rotation with some of these cells in addition to the coastal hazards and the surge. Any of these cells moving on shore, particularly in Flagler County, may spin up an isolated tornado. That's where the tornado watch is, and it goes up towards St. Augustine, the Jacksonville area. So far, we have not seen much rotation, but an area to watch. These cells offshore, and I was just making comments here with Brian Carrick about how we're starting to see lightning offshore. That's always a sign of intensification in some of these bands. So that's what we'll be watching here with your forecast throughout the morning as team coverage continues with Tropical Storm Nicole.
All right, thank you all so much. We appreciate it. Now we're tracking how Nicole is impacting the roads everywhere.
Yeah, our traffic expert Jerry Hume joining us now live at 6:33. Good morning to you, Jerry. So no Sunrail, no links. Who's out on the roads? Who knows?
Yeah, you shouldn't be out on the roads. That's the main takeaway from officials across our area right now because you could get involved in a crash. And we're tracking multiple wrecks, especially on the beach line, or on the turnpike, I should say. Right here behind me, we've got a flipped over vehicle. This is Florida's Turnpike. And this is going to be southbound right before the 429. It's blocking 2 left lanes. Yeah, first responders are out there. The rain is coming down in this spot. Another crash for you. This is also on the turnpike. This is going to be northbound here at the beach line. It involves a semi-tractor trailer blocking 3 left lanes. In total, we are tracking 4 crashes on the turnpike right now. So yeah, stay home if you can and try not to drive on the roads. If you do, certainly use caution. We'll continue to track conditions. We'll show you portions of the coast coming up. But for now, we'll toss it back to Beth and Curtis.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Now, as Nicole continues to bring down heavy rains across Central Florida, it also begins to undo much of the progress St. Johns River made in the past few weeks.
Yes, Hurricane Ian causing catastrophic flooding around many cities near the river, including Sanford. That historic area that's so pretty has been punished by these storms. Let's go ahead and check in right now with Jesse Canales, who is right there by Lake Monroe. Jesse, you've been out there for hours now, so reports show St. Johns River water levels near Sanford are rising once again.
That's right, Beth. Right now, according to National Weather Service, is a little more than 6.6 and expect that to keep rising over the next coming days. But now with a little more sunlight, we get to see what Lake Monroe looks like during this storm. And over here, you can see the waves still crashing over the seawall. They don't look as vicious as they once did earlier, but as I say that, the wind is picking up and so are the waves. But a lot of that water from Lake Monroe is making its way onto the roads, and Lake Monroe in this storm is not only bringing water, it's also bringing debris. If we go pan over here, you can see lots of those palm tree debris. Look at those chunks of palm trees all over the road, all over the street. That's been happening all night, and that's been a big issue here in Seminole County. They've been working hard for that debris to pick up and also to try to make some progress in St. Johns River. Like you guys mentioned, it was making progress over the past couple of weeks, but this storm is kind of pushing it in that other direction for now. For now, reporting live in Sanford, Jessica Canales, Spectrum News 13.
Thank you for that, Jesse. It's one thing to have our severe weather experts for hours telling us what is going to happen and then seeing it come to fruition, and it's really picking up there in that part of Seminole County.
It surely is, and you can just tell from the last time we talked to Jesse, and we're seeing the wind, the rain getting a little bit, worse and worse each time.
Absolutely. Now we pause and pivot, talking about Governor Ron DeSantis just yesterday said that there are thousands of utility crews on standby. They're at the ready to respond once it is safe to deal with the aftermath of the storm. We've spoken with FPNL a few hours ago already this morning, talking about the utility situation. Now, Duke Energy also has the crews on standby in Tropicana Field on the other side of I-4.
Yeah, joining us now is Anna Gibbs, or I should say Anna Gibbs, with Duke Energy. And Anna, what kind of resources are already staged for this storm?
So right now we have approximately 5,000 state of Florida, not only at Tropicana Field, but also in areas like the Villages, Mount Dora, DeLand. So they're really throughout the state. We move them as close as possible to areas that we feel are safe, so those crews and materials are not threatened by the storm. But we also place them in areas where we think they'll be close enough so that they are able to rapidly respond as soon as the storm passes through the area.
What kind of new technology does Duke Energy have to deal with these power outages? I know that we checked earlier this morning with FPNL. They were saying that they have some things that they can have at their disposal that can make things go faster when they're trying to restore power. What about you guys?
So this may be similar, but we have something called self-healing technology, where basically our power can reroute itself when something like a tree hits a line, much like your GPS. So your GPS reroutes you through bad traffic. Our lines reroutes itself throughout any sort of, for example, tree that may hit a line, that literally restores power automatically without us having to basically do anything. We don't even have to roll a truck. So for example, to give you a real life situation, we just went through Hurricane Ian. During Hurricane Ian, that self-healing technology was able to save our customers over 200 million minutes of outages that they never experienced because of this kind of technology.
All right, and we were talking about local numbers. What numbers are you seeing right now in our area?
Sure. So across the state, it's about 50,000 customers. We basically serve 2 million customers across the state, specifically in your area. Pretty much Orange County is the one that's getting hardest hit, about 25,000 customers for specifically Duke Energy customers. And then if you move over to Seminole, we're seeing about roughly 10,000 customers there. And then moving slightly over to Volusia County, we have about 8,000 customers in Volusia County. Of course, right now we're still dealing with the rain and the wind. Our bucket trucks cannot go up in the air until those winds die down to under 30 miles an hour. Again, we have crews staged nearby. As soon as those winds die down, we will be hitting the road and getting basically attacking those outages as quickly and safely as possible.
That's the question I was going to ask you. How quickly will you guys get out there? I know it'll take some time, especially waiting on those winds to die down.
So we have meteorologists on staff. They're tracking those winds and, of course, the rain. We anticipate that hopefully later this morning, the winds are going to die down low enough that we can get out there. So basically, that's not just for the, of course, safety of our crews, but the safety of our customers. We don't want to make any of these situations worse. And just a quick safety tip, especially for, your particular area that is super saturated. You just mentioned that with rains from Ian and previous storms. If you are in an area that could be flooded, turn off your breaker it's in your garage. So turn off your breaker so that you proactively turn off your electricity. Water and electricity don't mix. That's a danger to your family, your pets, and even to your property. It's a fire danger. So it's a quick safety tip. Keep your family and, of course, your pets safe. I think safety comes first, even though we understand that, of course, losing your electricity is an inconvenience.
All right. Thank you so much, Anna Gibbs. We appreciate you for chatting with us with the Duke Energy. Thank you so much.
And we continue now at just about 6:41. So let's toss it back over to our severe weather experts. Quick heads up. They've been talking about this, that Flagler County tornado watch in effect until when again, Chris Gilson?
1 o'clock this afternoon, Beth. But that's right. Flagler County tornado watch. That means conditions are favorable. So we don't have a warning, so you don't have to take action right now. But we could have a warning pop up as we're watching some of the stronger activity. This is a live look at the Flagler Beach Pier, and you can just see the waters there, the angry waters along the pier there. And that likely will only unfortunately get worse as we have these bands setting up along the coast. And we're also looking at that high tide right around 9 o'clock. So we're going to be watching the storm surge there for Flagler County and stretching down our east coast into Brevard County. A live look at the Lista.com weather camera in Sanford, looking at Lake Monroe, where we've had wind gusts around 60 miles per hour. You can see there at Lake Monroe the trees blowing in the wind, and it's just not looking very good right now as the most intense bands of rain are setting up along the I-4 corridor. There's a look at the tornado watch for Flagler County that runs until 1 o'clock. So that's the only county in our area that is under the watch. We were watching overnight for that potential for some areas to maybe rotate, but we haven't seen that yet to lead to maybe a brief tornado spin up. However, it looks like to the north here around Palm Coast and just off the coast of Flagler County, as Maureen was pointing out a moment ago, about 10 minutes ago, some of this lightning here with some of the stronger cells that are beginning to work to the west. So we'll take a look at that potential for maybe a little bit of rotation there off the coast, but it's nothing significant that is grabbing our attention. But there are a couple of areas here that may be trying to rotate a bit. So we'll watch this as it nears Palm Coast and Flagler Beach. But again, no warnings at this time, just something that we have to be aware of here around Flagler County and to the north of Flagler County, closer to the Jacksonville area. A little bit of a greater risk for some tornadoes today. Brevard County, you're still contending with the high winds along with Osceola County, but the rain has let up and we're seeing the heavier rain right along the I-4 corridor, stretching into Lake County and back into the I-75 corridor in Ocala and also into portions of Sumter County. So Nicole's moving pretty fast to the west and northwest at around 14 miles per hour. Full advisory will come up here at 7 o'clock. And it looks like we'll start to see some of our weather potentially improve a bit as we head into the afternoon, but still a long ways to go. And notice these winds here. I showed you the camera there in Sanford at Lake Monroe really bouncing around, and those winds gusting over 60 miles per hour up to 64 miles miles per hour. And there's another live look at the Flagler Beach pier there as those heavy downpours continue to move in from the Atlantic. Over 50 miles per hour in Orlando right now and a 48 mile per hour wind gust in Melbourne. So here's a look at Clytron 13 Futurecast showing you the path of Nicole and the rain associated with Nicole. So this is right now. Then as we put Futurecast into motion, as we head toward noon, you can see the worst of the weather, at least as far as the rain goes, starts to pull to the west and northwest out of our area. Still on the backside, we could have some rain and maybe still some gusty winds at times, but it won't be anything like we have right now. So once we get into the afternoon and evening hours, we'll start to see our weather gradually improve a bit, and that will be the case as we head into the weekend. We'll break down more on the hazards that we're expecting this morning coming up in less than 10 minutes, and we'll break down the latest path too once we get it, the latest advisory that is coming up here at about 7 o'clock. Beth and Curtis.
All right, thank you so much, Chris Gilson. We appreciate you. We want to go ahead now and continue our live team coverage with Katie Streit, who is live right now from South Daytona Beach.
I hear flooding is becoming an issue over there.
Yes, actually, if you see behind me, you can see there's a flash flood area right over there. Some folks were looking at it just a second ago, but that just shows you the dangers right after a storm, and actually it's still during the storm, that drivers need to pay attention to if they are out on the roads and if they absolutely need to be out on the road, that is. Now, we are also seeing some flashes, so there might be some power outages in this area. There are a lot of folks out in South Daytona right now because a lot of people had to evacuate the Daytona Beach Shores area. So we're going to continue. Now that it's light outside, we're able to see what the roads are looking like, what our area is looking like. So we'll be able to continue covering this area as well as the damages and debris and flooding that we're seeing and that we're hearing that's in this environment. So we'll keep you guys updated with all of that pertinent information. Live in Daytona Beach, Katie Streit, Spectrum News.
Isn't that scary? You could see that road just covered over her shoulder, underneath the traffic lights, covered. That was not the case before. You would see just the asphalt, but now the water is taken over.
Water. That's pretty, like you said, it's pretty impressive there.
Yeah, because it's fine 1 minute and then 3 hours later it's different. Okay, so mandatory evacuations. Hopefully people heeded the warning, right? Because that's in effect in parts of Volusia County, including those living in manufactured homes east of I-95 and all campsite and RV recreational parks. Also, there's a curfew in effect that started last night at 7 in that part of Central Florida, and it is about to expire at 7 a.m., so in less than 15 minutes.
Yeah, so a little bit of time people may be able to get back if they need to.
Right, if it gets extended, we'll let you know.
Definitely, definitely. All right, we want to show you this video right now out of Melbourne. We showed it a little bit earlier, but if you're just now joining us, take a look at this. This shows what appears to be a transformer explosion in the distance. Viewer Aaron Miller sent this to us just a while ago, earlier this morning. You can see the sky lighting up over the trees. According to Florida Power and Light, I want to go ahead and give you those updates. We've been looking at it all morning right here. Earlier this morning, that was 17,000, and that was way, way, way earlier this morning. Right now, I'm going to give you the update, what we're looking at. This is just in Brevard County. Over in Brevard County, we're looking at 71,500 customers.
And it went from like 17 to 21,000, and those numbers keep going up because the way that the wind is picking up, that's when the power starts to go out.
Absolutely, you know, and we'll probably, like you say, we'll see more of it happen as the morning goes on. So.
Okay. At the bottom of your screen, we're also inviting you to take a look at the information that's constantly being updated. And you know where else? We've got that information on the Spectrum News app, which you can download for free this morning. And once you open up the actual app, you can just tap the app right there and see all the different information about where to find resources for power outages or any flooding issues across Central Florida.
I love it because we have the free, the wall is open right now, so people can take advantage of it.
Share that with friends and family out of state.
It's so important to do that now, especially during these times.
Okay, our director, I don't know if you can show us that crazy picture from Flagler Beach, and I know it's Flagler Beach because as far as the eye can see, it's just covered with that coating of the white foam.
Look at it, I'm telling you. Geez.
It's so scary and beastly. It looks like a movie, but this is just reality. It's a real nightmare.
It really is a stark contrast from what we were seeing overnight now that the sun's coming up.
Yep, and Flagler Beach, Flagler County, I should say, Flagler County is under a tornado watch until 1 o'clock this afternoon. You're watching Spectrum News. We'll be right back with, we're checking in with our certified meteorologist in just a moment. Stay with us, everybody.
Local weather is brought to you by Bob Steele Chevrolet. See steel before you make any deal. Visit us at bobsteelchevy.com.
Spectrum News 13 is committed to helping today's students become tomorrow's scientists through Project Weather. Congratulations to the 2022 scholarship winners for their dedication and achievement. We are now accepting applications for the 2023 Project Weather scholarships. If you're a high school senior who excels in science, head to our website to find out how to apply. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
Black Friday, Appliance Direct. Brand new Whirlpool, dual ice French door refrigerator in the box. 12 payments, $192 per month, 0 down, 0 interest. 12 payments, $192 per month, 0 down, 0 interest. Black Friday, Appliance Direct. If you didn't buy direct,
you paid too much.
Ron John Surf Shop.
Open daily in Cocoa Beach.
Florida Institute of Technology, a university built upon discovery, driven by innovation, and focused on the future. Known for what we do best, high-tech, hands-on education with a global impact. Rigorous research that advances the state of the art, expands human knowledge, and inspires future generations. Florida Tech, a community of learners united in the relentless pursuit of greatness.
Florida on a Tankful is brought to you by Garage Experts, garage flooring and storage solutions to transform your garage to the garage of your dreams.
It is 6:51 on this Thursday morning, the latest 7 o'clock advisory coming in right now, and we are seeing further weakening with Nicole. It's still a tropical storm, but the winds have come down from 70 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour here with the latest advisory.
But the placement has the center low pressure about 30 miles from Orlando as it moves to the west-northwest. A very active scene still on Clystron 13 as this rain moves across the peninsula, but impacts are still being felt from coast to coast.
Yeah, you can see how far the reaching impacts are from Nicole, from basically southeast Georgia, Jacksonville, down toward Tampa, even around Fort Myers, picking up heavy rain. And we'll take a look at the rain here locally coming up in just a moment. The other thing that we're going to be watching as we head toward 8 o'clock is the tide. We are reaching high tide at 8:30, 9 o'clock along our east coast, and you can see that we're not even at high tide right now, and how far the water is up along the coast here from the Bogue and Munz weather camera at Shepherd Park, Cocoa Beach. So those wave heights are upwards of 10 to 15 feet right along our coast. And then once we get to high tide, that will likely tack on another 3 to 5 feet in spots there along our coast. So we are looking at storm surge forecast there stretching from Flagler County down into Brevard County of 3 to 5 plus feet. Again, those tide times here at Daytona Beach are at 8:53 for high tide, and then at Cocoa Beach 8:36. So we saw yesterday throughout the day what it was doing along the coast with the rough ocean conditions, the coastal erosion, and that's going to continue today, and that storm surge will be a concern during the 8, 9 o'clock hour. Maureen?
Yeah, so in addition to coastal flooding, because of the water coming up higher than usual and the risk of storm surge, we have the rain that is coming down heavily, but it's moving pretty quickly. This isn't an Ian situation where some of that heavy rain is going to linger. In fact, look at Brevard County. You have seen the rain let up quite a bit. There's still more on the southern extent of the storm that needs to pivot around, so you're not done yet. But I want to bring your attention to Flagler County, where we have a tornado watch in effect. And we've seen some weak rotation with some of these cells. We've also seen a little bit of lightning offshore. The latest scan of the radar, as I pause it to show you the latest view, no lightning is showing up now. Lightning always tends to mean that the storms are intensifying. But there has been a little bit of rotation. We'll take you in for a product that shows you the velocity, and it shows you how the movement is within these bands of rain. We look for these couplets of red and green or red and gray close together. I'm not seeing anything very pronounced. There are a few clusters of the red and green close together, but another product that we can use on Klystron 13 to verify that is the shear rate. We look for these pockets of brighter yellow and green to show where winds are turning with height, and there isn't a great deal of that right now. A few areas offshore marine land. This will also be associated with some stronger winds. So this is going to be an area that there could be a brief spin up. We see that typically with any landfalling tropical system, but the threat has been low overall with this one. But still, ongoing rain, wind-driven rain. This is moving pretty much from east to west across northern Flagler County, places like Marineland, Palm Coast, and Flagler Beach. I know we've been checking in from time to time with the camera in Flagler Beach, and we've been able to see that rough surf, and now that we're into daylight, those cameras are going to be in better view for us. We'll be checking in on those throughout the morning. But as we go to the overall view, as what's left of the center of the storm moves from Osceola into northern Polk counties, the metro area seeing the last of this squall move through. This produced some strong winds. We had gusts in the range of 60 miles per hour, so Orlando International Airport and Orlando Executive. But now that is moving across Windermere, Claremont. A lightning strike just starting to show up there too in Lake County. So this is a more area-wide threat for us with the rain from coast to coast, but our concerns at the immediate coast are going to be over the next 2 hours or so as we approach high tide, and we'll be watching that on our cameras. Of course, we welcome your pictures coming in on the Spectrum News app as well, and we'll have much more next hour with new information on Nicole.
All right, thank you all so much. We appreciate it. Right now, we want to go ahead and give you a quick look of what's on the roads with real-time traffic expert Jerry Hume. He's standing by. Hey, Jerry, what do you got out there? All right, we're going to get to Jerry in just a moment here. You can see there in this picture there, we've got a few cars out there on the roads this morning. Not a lot of people out here, what we would normally see at this time on a Thursday morning, but you can see some cars making their way. The road's pretty slick out there. We've seen a lot of water, a lot of rain coming out there. We've got Jerry now. We want to go ahead and bring him in so he can give us a little bit of an update. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, yeah, the microphone going in and out. We'll change the battery shortly, but yeah, you can see we do have some flooding. This is that I-4 East ramp to Central Florida Parkway. That's towards SeaWorld right there. You'll want to avoid that ramp right now. We saw some cars go through it, but you do not want to go in. That could stall your vehicle right now. So we'll take a look at some other instances of what we're watching out there. Turnpike, still some problems. This is a flipped over truck, it looks like. This is going to be southbound here before 429. We are looking at a couple of left lanes blocked. You do not want to be on the roads if you can. Let's take you over to another spot we've been watching all morning long. Looks a little bit better here, State Road 40 at Nova Road. This is Ormond Beach in Volusia County. Looks okay there. We've been watching the rain really come down.
Two things you can always count on with hurricane season. Every hurricane is different.
Klystron 13 actually able to pick up on those outer rain bands.
And the Spectrum News.
Closed captioning is brought to you by New Teeth Now. In only one day, New Teeth Now can change your life with a new smile. We treat patients others turn away.
This Black Friday, get great deals on furniture, accessories, and mattresses. Plus, Ashley has financing options for every budget. Shop your local Ashley store or online today.
So let's go.
Hi, honey.
Hey, Mom. How's it going? Did Nana's stuffing have rosemary or thyme?
Both.
Yeah, both, of course.
Oh, you found them.
Yeah, I got it.
Let me see it.
Okay.
I like it short.
Really?
Hello again.
Is it 300 or 350?
350.
Me and the best time. Look. I'm just letting it cool for a few minutes.
How's everything going there?
It's a little quiet, you know, just me and Dad.
We miss you. I think it was you who ate the pie, dear.
I did not. Dad was there. Ask him. Oh, I gotta go, Mom.
Okay, honey,
Love
bye.
you. Bye.
Hasn't she made that stuffing like 1,000,000 times before?
Hand in Stone is having a Black Friday weekend BOGO sale. So when you buy a gift card for that special someone, you get another gift card free.
Mom, what are you doing? I got you a spa day to Hand in Stone. Wait, really? Yes, and they were buy one, get one, so I thought... It's like in Becca. Well, actually, Thanks, Mom. Alrighty.
Buy one, get one free pre-sale going on now.
Better sleep starts with a better mattress from Ashley. Get an Ashley Sleep Queen mattress for as low as $299. Delivered right to your door in days, not weeks. Don't lose another night. Visit your local Ashley store or shop online today.
And we're 6 weeks apart from Hurricane Ian, and now we're talking about what was Hurricane Ian, now Tropical Storm Nicole. But as our certified weather experts have been saying, there is no such thing as just a tropical storm, and November is proving that it can be an active month. Good morning to you. I'm Eric Levy.
And I'm Ebeth Bruce. While Curtis McLeod taking a quick break. He'll be back in a little bit, so I'm glad that you're back. Eric Levy. So we're going to check in with our reporters in just a moment, but first, our weather experts are saying that right now at 7 o'clock and for the next few hours is when we're going to feel in our area the worst of the storm.
And I stayed downtown at a hotel just to make sure my drive-in from northwest Orange County was not any longer than 30 minutes. And just the 5 minutes from the hotel to the station, one of those wind gusts was, pushing the back of my car, kind of rocking it back and forth and pushing it forward. It was pretty feisty out there.
Let's talk more in depth about the conditions right now with our severe weather experts. We've got our chief meteorologist, Brian Carrick, Maureen McCann, and also we have Chris Gilson. Hey guys, so what are we feeling right now and where exactly?
Beth and Eric, we are picking up some of the strongest winds now and the potential that we might spin up a brief tornado or waterspout coming on shore. At this point, high tide also coming in, Chris, and cameras looking a little rough at this point.
You can see all the cameras there on the side of the screen, including the Flagler Beach Pier Cam. We have some heavy rain coming off the coast of the Atlantic and around Nicole, and we're also watching for that risk, as Brian mentioned, for some rotation with some of those cells right off the coast of Flagler County. This is a look at Brevard County now from the Bogan Munz and Munz weather camera at Shepherd Park, Cocoa Beach. And as we go through the next 90 minutes during the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hour, we're going to see high tide, and that will have a big impact along those conditions along the coast with the high tide, and that could lead to a storm surge there that we're going to be watching through the rest of the morning.
And then further to the north in Flagler County, that's where we have our tornado watch. It goes until 1 o'clock, and the bands have mostly been showing weak rotation, but there's just a few offshore that we're going to be keeping an eye on as we look at the shear rate. We look for pockets of light yellow and light green, and there's just a hint of that north of Marineland and offshore. So the threat will decrease as we go throughout the morning, but nonetheless, it's a tornado watch. Hopefully everyone's home and in their safe place. So just know if we did get into any warnings that you want to just make sure you go to the safest place of your safe place. But hopefully that threat starts to ease as Nicole pulls away.
All right, we'll continue to check in with you guys every 10 minutes. You know, one of the areas that we've been focusing on and seeing the progression of the conditions getting worse has been over in Seminole County by Lake Monroe.
Yeah, and that was an area that was underwater. A lot of water from the lakes that was ended up being where it wasn't supposed to be because of all the excessive rain from Ian. Unfortunately, this is adding insult to injury. Spectrum News 13's Jesse Canales joining us from near Lake Monroe, and he shows us the St. Johns River water levels near Sanford are unfortunately rising again. It is very, it's just plain old awful out there, Jesse.
Oh, Eric, this area in Seminole County remains under a flood watch, at least until 11 a.m. That was a nice gust of wind there, and what that wind is doing is pushing this water from Lake Monroe, crashing it onto the seawall, and some of the water has been spilling over onto roads all day, all night. And a result of that heavy wind is not only the water, but look at what it did to this doggy poopy bag cleanup that most people use when they walk around here. It kind of tilted it over, and it also caused a lot of debris. This whole area here full of debris. You can see some vehicles trying to maneuver their way to avoid some of that palm tree debris that Nicole has left behind. And so that's something the county has been dealing with for more than a month now since Hurricane Ian. Debris cleanup. There's a lot of areas in Seminole County they have been able to get to because of the roads. And of course, like you guys mentioned, the St. Johns River. We're not going to see the full effect of how much that water has risen from this storm until another few days. A lot of the progress that has been made over the last couple of weeks turning the other way. Reporting live in Sanford, Jess Canales, Spectrum News 13.
My goodness, yeah, the wind, hearing the wind on that microphone, it obviously is magnified just a little bit, but it's not by much because it is, the conditions outside just dreadful this morning.
Very dreadful. So from Seminole County, right, more inland, now let's go to the coastal Flagler County area. By the way, they're still under a tornado watch until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Our Nick Popham is joining us there in Flagler County. We see the pier behind you. Okay, walk us through what you're seeing right now.
Well, Yvette, the wind is still just as strong as ever, as strong as the last time we spoke with you. The rain has died down a bit, but you can see the pier behind me. It's something that we've been talking about for a few days now because it was affected by Hurricane Ian. We see the damage there, and now it's just taking another brutal walloping from Nicole. And you can see the waves in the water increasingly getting closer and closer to the walkway where we are standing, which is right on the main roadway here at Flagler Beach, close to where the Atlantic Ocean is. But those waves are not something to mess with. They are just getting stronger and stronger, and the wind is just making it even worse as it gets closer and closer to where we're standing. We see some sand and debris already where we're standing here, and one can only imagine in the next hour or so that it's even going to continue to pick up. This is what we've been told is the worst part of the storm for this area at least, but it could continue within the next hour or two. And as you mentioned, a tornado watch is happening here in Flagler County, so it's something to monitor on top of dealing with all this massive wind and the waves getting closer to where people are driving and coming through. Thankfully, the roadways are clear. Not many people are in this area. We've only seen a handful of folks come over to the shore here to take some pictures and record some video, but thankfully that has changed within the last few minutes. They have left, and for good reason, because this wind continues to be strong in this area. But for now, live at Flagler Beach, I'm Nick Popham. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. And, you know, that pier's taking another beating. And, you know, the city of Flagler Beach and Flagler County, they have money set aside already to do some repairs. And hopefully they're not going to have to shell out any more for any more damage because of Nicole.
You know, the storm surge is what our severe weather experts have been talking about. And when you see how high those waves are right there, and then crashing onto those pilings, hour after hour after hour, it's just time will tell whether any of that was compromised. But those live pictures or something else. And I'm so glad that Nick's photographer was able to pan left. You see on the roof those iconic letters, right, that say Flagler Beach.
That's right.
So you can get a true sense of you know, where he's located. And then you see the orange sand. It's so particular to Flagler Beach, and you can barely see it because the water has just taken over the shoreline.
Yeah, my goodness.
Mother Nature is something else.
Well, let's look at some video out of Melbourne that shows what appears to be a transformer explosion. Let's watch that. Look at that. That's very much a common sight during a big storm and during tropical systems, tropical storms and hurricanes. You do get those glows of blue in the sky, and you know that does not mean a good thing, because that means customers are losing power at a very quick rate. So we'll be continuing to monitor it for you.
Absolutely. So we're not going anywhere. We've been live for hours, and our wall-to-wall coverage continues. Our weather experts are standing by. They're joining us once again to talk about the tornado watch and so much more. So tornado watch still in effect in Flagler County, Mo, until 1 this afternoon?
That's right. A watch means conditions are favorable. We'll let you know if we get into any warnings. We still have a tropical storm warning, though, for all of central Florida. We're tracking Nicole, and we'll let you know when conditions start to improve. Coming up next with your Weather on the Ones.
Local weather is brought to you by Bob Steele Chevrolet. See steel before you make any deal. Visit us at bobsteelchevy.com.
Two things you can always count on with hurricane season. Every hurricane is different.
Bystron 13 actually able to pick up on those outer rain bands.
And the Spectrum News 13 weather experts will always keep you ahead of the storm.
We are monitoring 2 disturbances in the Atlantic.
Tracking storms coast to coast with the fastest and most detailed information, plus the context you need to be prepared. The weather experts only on Spectrum News 13, keeping you safe this hurricane season on your television and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Stay tuned to get this Ultra Nonstick Bakeware set free from Granite Stone. Get ready for a kitchen full of the most durable Ultra Nonstick cookware at the most affordable price anywhere. Introducing Granite Stone Blue, the fast, easy way to cook gourmet family meals every day. Granite Stone Blue cookware is pressed from solid aluminum and coated 3 times with our durable Ultra Nonstick Granite Stone Blue finish. They come with vented tempered glass lids and are 100% dishwasher and metal utensil safe. You can get the Granite Stone Blue 12-piece set for just 4 easy payments of $49.95. As a bonus, we'll include our stainless steel steamer and fry set. Plus, you'll get our Granite Stone Blue bakeware set. Together, they're a $110 value. Yours free. That's an incredible 20-piece Granite Stone Blue set. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-489-0723. That's 1-800-489-0723 or visit granitestoneblue.com.
If you or a family member needs rehabilitation, you should know this. All rehabilitation facilities are not equal, and you have a choice, a clear choice.
I am so happy that Melbourne Terrace was here for me after my 4 surgeries following my fall. The care at Melbourne Terrace was life-changing and a tremendous blessing.
Melbourne Terrace Rehabilitation Center, helping you get back to you.
At 7:11, alongside Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick and Chris Gilson. With Nicole, still a tropical storm. I'll show you the new numbers with it as of 7 a.m. here in a moment. But first, we'll take you to Clystron 13 just to show you how this is an area-wide threat from coast to coast. Now over to our listed.com camera in Sanford, where we are seeing those rough conditions out by Lake Monroe and the rising water levels on the St. Johns River in this area too. We're going to get you caught up on the latest flood stages. We'll do that 7:21, and we'll be indicating what those water levels are like area-wide. Right now, we have tropical storm warnings posted all across central Florida, so that means tropical storm force winds remain a threat in all of our counties. Winds are to 60 miles per hour with the latest positioning. It is moving to the west-northwest at 14, and the track is going to have it exiting off to our north and west later this afternoon and moving along quickly towards the Big Bend area and then further into Georgia, and our conditions will improve considerably behind it. But we're not done with the hazards yet. There are still tropical storm force winds. We've seen those gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour along the I-4 corridor the last hour or so. We also are approaching the next high tide in the 8 o'clock hour. So that's why storm surge and erosion is a very big concern. We saw what happened with yesterday's high tide and what that did along the Volusia County coast especially. And of course, we have the risk of localized flooding. Plus, there's the storm surge and the rough surf with wave heights that are already to 15 to 16 feet as detected by Clystron 13. So to go over those tide times to show you when those water levels will be at their highest. The next high tide cycle comes up at 8:53 for Daytona Beach, 8:36 Cocoa Beach. So pretty much along our east coast, any of those beaches between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. We have the risk of storm surge up to 3 to 5 feet or more. And of course, we want to encourage you to stay safe in this situation. Also knowing that you may have to seek shelter if we get into any tornado warnings. There's a watch for Flagler County and points north until 1 o'clock. But please, now that we have daylight, we'd love to see your photos. As long as you're in a safe place, please share them on the Spectrum News app so we can get an assessment of what we are seeing on Clystron 13 and how that verifies with what you are seeing at your house and in your neighborhood. We see the general counterclockwise swirl, what's left of the eye, as that moves across Polk County. So if this is going to be moving over the I-4 corridor, the southwest of the attractions and southwest of Kissimmee, Four Corners, where the eye is moving, the conditions may calm a bit. The winds will ease, the rain will let up, but that doesn't mean we are through with the storm yet, because we still have the rotation on the southern extent of the storm. Some of this soon to be sweeping up towards southern Brevard County, southern Osceola County, but the general storm movement is off to the west-northwest. Another look at Clystron 13 from a closer inspection of some of these cells. There was a little bit of lightning showing up to the south of Claremont, moving past 27 into southern Sumter County towards the Green Swamp, towards Center Hill, Webster, some of that heavy rain on the south side of you. This rain is all pushing westward, and also the threats in Flagler County for some gusty squalls continue. Didn't mean to go in that close. Sorry about that. Wanted to show you how there's some squalls that are moving on shore, and as they do, there's just a hint of rotation showing up within these cells. So we are going to keep you posted if we get into any alerts. This is about the peak of it right now. High tides between 8 and 9 o'clock this morning, and then this afternoon as the activity shifts north and west. It'll still be breezy. There'll still be some leftover showers even into early tomorrow, but this time tomorrow it will be a much different scene across central Florida, and the weekend too, a very nice forecast with fall-like air moving in behind a cold front. We'll focus more on the river threat and what those flood warnings are like across the St. Johns Basin coming up with your next check of your forecast here with team coverage. Nicole?
That is the best thing after a tropical system, Maureen, is when the dry air comes down after a storm, when we get some really nice weather. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's the reward after the painful process of going through the wind, the rain, and everything else.
Yeah.
Our live team coverage continues right now with Angie Andrews on the other side of I-4. You, my friend, are over at Tropicana Field. We see a bunch of vehicles behind you. What's happening there?
So the wind is really starting to pick up here at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, and we're just starting to see really a taste of what you guys are seeing over there on the East Coast. But I want to take a step out of the way to give you a live look today. This is one of 5 staging areas for Duke Energy. They have an identical one there over in the Orlando area as well. There's 5,000 power crews staged, ready and waiting to go right now. But of course, they can't head out until that wind dies down. So just like in Ian, we're seeing linemen who have traveled down here from the Midwest and from the Carolinas. So they all got into place last night. So if your power goes out and they are expecting more outages, the crews here will either head to the spot where the damage occurred, or they'll be able to handle some of the outages from their distribution control center. Technology has come a long way, and during the last storm, Duke restored 160,000 outages through what they call a self-healing technology, and it didn't require linemen in the field. But the big question so many of us have is, how do these power crews prioritize, and what areas do they go to first? So I asked the leaders over at Duke that question. Take a listen.
We have a very planned out progression for power restoration. We hit major transmission lines, substations, things that feed the most customers first. We take care of that first. Then we go to making sure that hospitals, police stations, fire and EMS, they're restored. Anything that's emergency related, that's our top priority. Then we hit the largest outages and we work our way down.
Right, and then from there they keep going down and down and down to those more rural areas. Now, right about 10 minutes ago, I checked in on those power outage numbers. Duke Energy customers sitting at just above 50,000 outages at this 7 o'clock hour. Most of those, again, over on the East Coast, Brevard County, and Volusia County as well. But for now, reporting live in downtown St. Petersburg, I'm Angie Andrews for Spectrum News 13.
All right, Angie, thank you very much. Yeah, not just a Central Florida storm. The wide expanse of the storm is being felt from coast to coast, and that is what it looks like in Flagler Beach. Once again, the sea foam and the waves, the angry waves right now as the wind continues to lash the coast, and we're hopefully going to get this thing out of here soon, Beth.
Stay with us. You're watching Spectrum News 13 at 7:18. We'll be right back, everybody. Don't go anywhere.
Spectrum News 13's marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
This sponsorship is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan.
For the people.
No, it has to be 5-star. It's my treat. I could get used to this.
Double chains and so many diamonds. It's the most we sell in the store.
Oh.
If they have your personal information, anyone can be you. Spectrum One keeps your personal data safe and private. That's privacy protection. That's Spectrum One.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Wear Bears.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been. Will be. How can there not? Just something about those blue skies, high banks, and high speed, all coming together in one perfect race. And it'll be here sooner than you think.
Here we are at 7:21. Meteorologist Maureen McCann here with Chris Gilson and Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick. As bands of rain move across Central Florida, we remain under a tropical storm warning, and Nicole is still having a big impact in several ways with a lot of different hazards.
Yeah, we've had the high winds upwards of 70 miles per hour, even a little bit stronger than that earlier this morning. And as we go through the day today, we are going to be looking at those impacts continuing with the heavy bands of rain setting up. So this is a look at what happened if you're sleeping overnight at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hurricane Nicole at that point made landfall to the south of Vero Beach on North Hutchinson Island as a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 75 miles per hour. Now this was a rare event because it's the latest landfall on the east coast of Florida on record. And it's the first hurricane landfall on the east coast of Florida in first season with 2 Florida landfall since 2005. So Katrina was the last landfall on the east coast of Florida back in 2005, and the shortest span between hurricane landfall since 2004. So a lot of stats there. Since this year has been abnormal with this late landfall here to go through the middle portion of November, and we're still looking at impacts here from Nicole stretching from Jacksonville down toward Tampa and Fort Myers, even around Orlando and along our east coast. We're still looking at those high winds.
And those winds leading to the threat of power outages. And we've been checking in on this map throughout the morning, our county by county power outage map. And these numbers are climbing. Flagler County didn't have any power outages at last check. Now about 200 customers. Clearly Brevard County, the biggest impact, the highest number of customers without power right now, estimated 86,000. And we also have Seminole County about 7,500. So these numbers are climbing as the wind speeds continue to be a threat for us, and those high winds are going to accompany some of that heavy rainfall. So we'll take you over to Clystron 13, and you can see those images there on the side of your screen. Don't forget, we're approaching high tide along our east coast, between around 8:30 and 9 o'clock. So that is Flagler Beach that you're looking at, in addition to some of our interior roadways and out by the marina at Lake Monroe. So windy conditions area-wide. Some of the heaviest rain right now is actually moving into southern Lake County and near Groveland and Mascot, and in Claremont. We've been seeing some of that heavy rainfall. There was a little bit of lightning showing up with this squall right here. It's not at the moment, so whenever there's lightning, that tends to mean an uptick. We're still monitoring for any isolated spin-ups or brief tornadoes. So take a little inspection of what's happening here with the shear rate and not really finding much. We look for some pockets of brighter yellow and green showing up. One area where we also are concerned about that is in Flagler County. You are the one county that's in a tornado watch at this time. However, as I take you to the north to show you those onshore moving bands of rain, you'll find that the rainfall is going to be a little bit heavier to the north in St. Johns County. Didn't mean to do that, sorry. The second time that's happened to me this morning. We're looking at the rainfall that is going to be moving onshore into Flagler and St. Johns counties, but the rotation with some of these bands seems a little more prominent offshore and to the north. We'll tune to another radar here to try to find, we look for these clusters of red and green close together. We haven't seen an overwhelming amount of this, perhaps a few small spin-ups offshore or maybe into St. Johns County, but overall, this is wind-driven rain for us. There's still the potential for totals overall of 2 to 4 inches with locally higher amounts. But as we go throughout the morning, conditions will be improving as the storm system moves to the northwest and we see our winds start to ease. So we'll be looking at other conditions coming up at the bottom of the hour. Chris has a little more information for us now, though.
Yeah, we are still seeing that heavy rain, as you can see here on the Flooring Center weather camera on the Citrus Tower there in Claremont, showing those gray skies and that rain. And as we go through the next couple of hours, we'll start to see the conditions gradually improve by the afternoon. Those winds still gusting close to 50 in Sanford. So we'll have more coming up. Curtis and Beth, or Eric and Beth.
It's good to see you, Chris Gilson. Thank you very much. And we're going to continue now with, I believe we're going to...
Ashley Mills.
Ashley Mills is in the control room. Ashley has been, of course, giving us an update on what's been happening with the conditions outside and the impacts to some of the damage. What are you hearing, Ashley?
Right, and I want to revisit the power situation, too, that Maureen was mentioning. Let's go back and revisit that map, FPL's map, if you will, because this was just updated at the top of the hour. As of 7 o'clock, a lot more numbers. They're mounting, more power outages. FPL urging customers to be patient, saying they will respond. But if you take a look at Brevard, which seems to be the largest amount so far, 87,150 customers out of power, followed by, if you go up to Volusia right after that, now 26,820 customers. Of course, along the East Coast there, that's where Nicole came in. So seemingly the area with the most outages at this point. We were able to speak with FPL even earlier this morning, saying that they do have a team, a massive team of people who will get out and work these outages and try to restore them just as soon as it is possibly safe for them as well. Take a listen.
So once those winds really drop below 35 miles an hour, that's kind of our main threshold. Our crews will be in the field actively restoring power. In the meantime, we can work behind the scenes and try to restore some power with technology and reroute power around trouble spots.
Just a reminder, too, they're urging people to stay away from any downed power lines. Of course, very dangerous. We'll take a look at other areas and continue to update you throughout the morning. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley.
We continue our team coverage right now with Jerry Hume, our traffic expert, giving us a quick update on what's happening on the wet roads right now. Hey, Jerry.
And Yvette and Eric, you know, we've seen a lot of rain out there, not as much as we saw with Ian, but we're still seeing a tremendous amount, so that we're seeing some flooding. This is a look here at the 429 and that ramp to the 429 southbound from Plant Street. It is covered in water right now. I've seen some cars go through this. You don't want to do that. We're also seeing it here on I-4, the eastbound ramp to Central Florida Parkway, SeaWorld right now. It's also covered in water. We're also watching some crashes. This is a look here, Florida's Turnpike, flipped over vehicle. This is a look here southbound before you get to the 429. So that's a couple of left lanes that are blocked right there. We'll continue to track these conditions for you throughout the day. More Nicole coverage coming up after this. You're watching Spectrum News 13.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Florida Aid to Animals. With the lowest prices on visits, vaccines, and products, Florida Aid to Animals will save you money.
Are you looking for a high-quality roof or dock from a professional and customer-oriented contractor? We've got you covered at DC Roofing and Marine Construction. Family-owned and operated with over 28 years experience. With our top-of-the-line equipment, we can design and build a one-of-a-kind roof or dock to your specifications. We work hard for you and pride ourselves in delivering 5-star service to all of our customers. Let us do your roof or dock right the first time. Call DC Roofing and Marine Construction today.
Coming into Parish, something that always stands out to me is I don't feel like I'm just a patient here. I feel like I'm a person and I get to tell my story. Dr. Kaido is amazing. She takes her time with her patients and she wants to make sure that we're getting the care that we need.
I think here at Parish, we really try to provide them a true healing experience by not just addressing them as a diagnosis, but addressing them as a person.
I highly recommend to anybody, if you want to have a fabulous birth experience, Parish Medical Center is the place to go.
It's a new world out there, troops.
Yes, sir.
Lots of germs and icky things flying around. What do we think about that?
Pretty gross, sir.
Sergeant McCool wants our people comfortable and healthy. You can proudly fight germs and viruses with the Air Oasis Nano and Patriot UV Light from Freedom Air and Plumbing. Keeping families comfortable and happy is the real definition of freedom. Let's go get those germs.
Choose the ones who care. Call Freedom Air.
I had a spot on my arm that wouldn't heal, so I called the Dermatology Institute.
The Dermatology Institute of Brevard with Dr. Cynthia Howson, board-certified dermatologist, treating a wide variety of skin conditions. Dr. Howson personally supervises all care.
Here at the Institute, we study, diagnose, and treat all skin problems, giving people their confidence back.
Now my grandkids are all I worry about.
The Dermatology Institute of Brevard, skin care for the whole family.
News presented by your Central Florida Acura dealers. Exhilaration comes standard.
The waves are crashing, the ocean is rough, the winds are shrieking. Mother Nature hitting it hard this morning. The speed limit signs flapping back and forth. It is a dreadful morning as we are seeing some nasty conditions from Tropical Storm Nicole that made landfall very early this morning as a hurricane, a Category 1 hurricane. And you were probably, we would normally say, well, you slept, but the sound of the storm probably did not allow you much sleep at all. Thank you for joining us for our live in-depth team coverage of Tropical Storm Nicole. I'm Eric Levy.
And I'm Yvette. Bruce Juan Curtis McLeod taking a little break. He'll be back in just a little bit. So right now, Flagler County is under tornado watch until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's talk about that and also the intensity of the storm. When is it going to let up in our area? We've got our severe weather experts joining us live right now at 7:31. And we've got Maureen McCann, hey Mo, and Chris Gilson. So walk us through what you're tracking at this hour.
Good morning, Beth and Eric. And as you can tell from the cameras there on the screen, there's still a lot of active weather. We're going to be watching for the storm surge threat with high tide coming up in the next hour. We still have heavy rain and those high winds that we've been tracking. And Nicole is a tropical storm. Tropical storm warnings continue for all of central Florida. We had hurricane warnings earlier, but since it has weakened and made landfall, we're just looking at tropical storm warnings right now, but still gusty winds, and we're seeing the rain impacts and those winds impacts from North Florida down into Southwest Florida.
Yeah, and winds to 60 miles per hour, not out of the question. That's what came in with the latest observation or latest advisory package that came through. Here we are with Clystron 13, some of our most intense bands over southern Sumter and Lake counties. So again, it's not just at the coast. These are going to be pushing westward. We even had a little bit of a rumble of thunder and some lightning with that cell. The other area we've been watching for about the last hour is Flagler County for some of these bands that are pivoting on shore, but a lot of that may be passing to the north into St. Johns County. We have a report that the bridge, the A1A from St. Johns into Flagler County closed because of water going over the road. We just saw that report come in. So that's what we are looking at throughout the morning on Clystron 13, in addition to, Chris, approaching high tide.
Yeah, approaching high tide in the next hour around 8:30 for all of our East Coast, from Flagler County down into Brevard County, and that will lead to more issues along our East Coast beaches, and we're seeing those rough seas out there this morning. So we'll dive deeper into the storm surge threat and the other hazards that we're tracking coming up a little later on.
All right, Chris and Maureen, thank you very much. We'll be checking back in with you a little bit later. Just wanted to bring up another note. We hit this point hard during summer thunderstorms, heavy rain, and especially during tropical systems. Do not drive through standing water. We wanted to bring this camera up really quickly to show you. This is an example. This is the 429 right at the Plant Street exit ramp on the west end of Orange County. You see the water overflowing. Just a moment ago, literally 30 seconds before we came to you, we saw a small car drive through that water. Luckily, it made it. But friends, do not do that.
That's a big no-no.
You don't want to do that because this is a construction zone and you don't know if the water has washed out some of that road. So you want to stay away, and it might be a good thing to maybe try to block that off, put some cones around. Don't know the reason for that, but stay away from water like that.
That's good advice. Okay, we've got Will Robinson-Smith joining us from Cocoa over in Brevard County. He's been all over the place in that particular part of Central Florida. Oh, wow. What is that behind you there, Will?
Yeah, Beth and Eric, you were just talking about not driving on flooded roads. Or we're on Indian River Drive right now, an area that typically floods when we see some big rain events. Want to step aside and show you what the road conditions are like right now. You can see we're not in the road because, you know, as we've been talking about through the morning, you don't want to drive in standing water like this, and you don't want to walk in standing water on this. You just don't know what may be in there, even though it looks shallow enough to be safe. But off to our left, you can see how choppy the Indian River is, how just dirty that water appears with all the froth and the churn. You can barely see the barrier islands on the other side of the river there. And in fact, we just got word from the city of Cocoa Beach that city phone lines are down, but the non-emergency number is still operational. So a lot of municipalities across Brevard County dealing with the impacts of now Tropical Storm Nicole. Fortunately, I want to bring up those pictures of the tree that we showed you earlier. This is a little bit further down the road from where we are here on Indian River Drive, just south of Dixon Boulevard. That's a little bit further down the road, but it's at a point where the road is flooded out, so we can't actually get there by foot. So I wanted to bring you those pictures provided by the city. So thank you to the city of Cocoa for giving us those. Just an example of just the impacts that we've been seeing throughout the night and into the morning from now Tropical Storm Nicole. We're continuing to make our way across Brevard. Now that the sun is up, we can get a better look at the damage left behind. Reporting live here in Cocoa, Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News 13.
Want to let you know, thank you for that, Will Robinson. That's crazy, the water taking over the road. That we've just learned that Governor Ron DeSantis is holding a press briefing this morning at 10:30. We will be bringing that to you live at that point.
Okay, let's get to Jesse Canales. He is near Lake Monroe in Seminole County, which which is an area that was hit hard during Hurricane Ian about 6 weeks ago, getting hit hard once again. Jesse, how's it looking out there where you are?
Well, Eric, according to National Weather Service right now,
let's do something.
Yeah.
If his photographer can still show us, there we go. So if we cannot hear Jesse, we can see the pictures. That's Lake Monroe. Look at how nasty the water is coming over that seawall. I was there just before midnight, and it was getting really crazy. And now the intensification is clear to see. This is Lake Monroe.
Yeah, the
this
waves.
This is Seminole County. This is inland.
The waves are crashing into the seawall right there. The tree is not bending over, but so it doesn't look like it is as windy as it was, but still windy enough that the river is still, or the lake, I should say, Lake Monroe is still very, very active and very, very angry this morning, if you will.
And I'm going to say cold because I got slapped in the face by Lake Monroe at around midnight when I was doing some coverage. It's really cold water. All right, stay with us. We're going to check in with our crew in a moment. You're watching Spectrum News 13. It is 7:38. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to keep checking in with our reporters and also our severe weather experts. And in the meantime, on the bottom of your screen, updated information constantly of what's closed, what's open, and where the worst impacts are being felt.
And if you have no power, make sure you have the Spectrum News app because we send you push alerts with the big updates too. Stay with us. Actually, we'll go to weather. Yeah.
All righty, we're just updating some graphics here, looking at rainfall totals and 3-hour rainfall estimates in West Orange County into Lake County, around 2 to 3 inches. That's just in 3 hours. We'll take a look at the rest of Central Florida coming up next with your weather on the ones.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Small business owners, slow internet is nonsense. You deserve the fastest speeds in the nation. You deserve Spectrum Business. In fact, thousands of independent tests confirm that Spectrum is the clear winner when it comes to speed, the fastest in the nation. Boom! It's that fast. Actually, it's much faster.
Hi, honey. Hey, Mom. How's it going? Did Nana stuffing have rosemary or thyme? Both. Yeah, both, of course. Oh, you found them.
Yeah, I got it.
Let me see it. Okay. I like it short. Really? Hello again. Is it 300 or 350? 350. Look. I'm just letting it cool for a few minutes. How's everything going there? It's a little quiet, you know, just me and Dad. We miss you.
I think it was you who ate the pie, dear.
I did not. Dad was there. Ask him. Oh, I gotta go, Mom. Okay, honey, love you. Bye.
Hasn't she made that stuffing like 1,000,000 times before?
Very different people. Very different medical conditions, who all have one thing in common. They choose to live life to the fullest. And at Orlando Health, our team of experts deliver award-winning care so you can do just that. Orlando Health. Choose well.
7:41, meteorologist Maureen McCann here with Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick and Chris Gilson as we track Nicole on Clydestron 13, and we're checking out all those cameras too from around Central Florida showing the hazardous conditions from the coast to inland, and those rainfall totals are going to be adding up, but also those wind speeds are going to be coming down over the course of the next few hours as things improve. But yes, we still have some rain and wind to get through. Let's take a look at downtown Orlando. I'd say the winds have started to ease compared to a view of this camera we saw maybe about an hour ago, and it was wind-driven rain moving across. And there is North Orange Ave and Central, but as we look from up above, that is the Weichert Realtors Hallmark Properties Sky Cam. And yes, still raining, still windy, with Nicole taking a track to the west-northwest. The latest movement has it at 14 miles per hour. Pressure not as low as it was previously, as the storm system has no longer the hurricane label. It lost that this morning as it moved on shore. It did make landfall as a Category 1 hurricane along North Hutchinson Island to the south of Vero Beach. It happened around 3 a.m. in case you were sleeping, but kind of hard to sleep in a situation like this as we still have that rain and wind. And don't forget, there's an ongoing risk for isolated tornadoes. That should lessen as we get into late morning, but Flagler County nonetheless is included in a tornado watch. That means conditions are favorable for tornadoes to occur. Of course, we have those wind gusts to tropical storm force. Remember, that's 39 miles per hour or greater. Seeing that in Sanford, in Melbourne, Kissimmee. The rotation right here that you see going counterclockwise, that is where the center of storm is located. So it is moving into Polk County or out of Polk County and eventually off to the west-northwest. Let's see where the heaviest rain is located right now on Clydestron 13. Again, that eye bringing some calmer weather to parts of Polk County and western Osceola County, but this band right here picking up on some pretty heavy rainfall. West Orange County into Lake County. It is going to be advancing towards some of these communities in the next few minutes. That includes Riverdale at 7:46. Again, wind-driven rain, no lightning at this time. The rain a little bit lighter as we look towards the St. Johns, also looking towards parts of Volusia County. Flagler County, still some intense pockets coming on shore. I've been keeping an eye on any small areas of weak rotation. It hasn't been overly impressive on Clydestron 13, but that's what we're watching in case we see any brief spin-ups for isolated tornadoes. 3-hour rainfall estimates in the last couple of hours, they've been heaviest in this band right here, 2 to 3 inches in West Orange County, along with St. John's, where we're so concerned about flooding. In the last 3 hours, those totals have been a little bit lower. Want to bring you up to speed on what's happening along the St. John's. We are at major flood stage again for the St. John's River near Astor. That is moderate flooding near DeLand and Sanford. Taking you to that hydrograph showing you what's been happening and what is forecast to happen at Astor. Those water levels have risen back into major flood stage. They're expected to stay there throughout the rest of the week and into the weekend. We'll look more at the impacts and what we'll be seeing with the tide times coming up with your Weather on the Ones. We'll have more team coverage at 7:51.
All right, Maureen, thank you very much. And again, at that 429 at Plant Street exit or entrance ramp, whichever that may be, we just saw another car drive through.
There it
you
goes.
can see. You don't want to do that. We were just looking over there, and you can see that vehicle going up that ramp. They just drove through that standing water again. You don't want to do that, and I would hope that somebody would go out there at some point, if somebody is watching this from the city or the county, to block that if
It's too
possible.
windy, it's too hazardous.
Or at least put cones up or something.
They can't do it because it's too dangerous. If you're watching,
don't listen to it.
Yep,
listen to us. Don't drive through it. Okay, let's go to Jason Lanning. He is joining us with what is happening on the other side of the state, in Lakeland, actually, the center of the state. And Jason, what are you seeing over there?
Right, so here in Lakeland, where we are live right now, very near downtown, wind gusts in the mid-30s, although we did see in Winter Haven about an hour ago a wind gust of 51 miles an hour, and in Bartow, a little bit further to the south, 61 miles an hour. The good news, even with those higher wind gusts, we have not got any damage reports. In fact, Polk County and its Emergency Operations Center saying they have gotten no damage reports so far, so that's certainly good news. The rain is a bit different of a story. We are now just over 2 inches of rainfall here here in Lakeland. You can see it's not really hampering people getting out and about, and so far no localized pockets of flooding, but the rain is going to continue here perhaps for the next several hours, so we'll have to keep a close watch on that. We quickly want to take you into the neighborhoods of Lakeland from overnight as we started to see the first rain bands, and this is the question of the day. Is it too early for a Christmas tree or too late for a tropical storm? Regardless of your answer to that question, we can all agree it is a very weird day with Tropical Storm Nicole happening so late in the season. We had a chance to talk with a resident overnight, Nicole Harrison. This is what she says she and her husband experienced as the storm was pushing in.
Basically, like, the lights were flickering on and off, and then after that, it was just like, it just like blew. Like, you just see one go, and then next thing you know, you see another one go. I was like, oh, that's not good.
Right, and it's not good because we're still watching power outages. When the lights flicker, you worry about an outage. So far, only around 300 power outages here in Polk County, so all some very good news, at least so far today. Guys, back to you.
All right, Jason Lanning from Lakeland. Jason, thank you.
We continue our team coverage right now with Alice Herman. Alice joining us from Lake Harney this morning.
In Seminole County right now, right on the banks of Lake Harney, in a more residential area that flooded pretty badly during Hurricane Ian. Right now, we're not getting a lot of rain, but we're already starting to see some flooding from the rain earlier tonight. And the wind, as you can see over here, is picking up quite a bit. Considering the fact that this area did flood during Hurricane Ian, this is an area that we're keeping an eye on, as well as other low-lying areas and residential areas near lakes in this part of the county. We'll keep you updated as the storm progresses. In Seminole County, Alice Herman, Spectrum News.
All right, thank you, Alice. And we continue to check with our different crews across Central Florida to see what they're seeing. And here's the common denominator for all of them. Everything is intensifying. So we ask you to stay with us as we continue to show you live pictures here on the right-hand side of your screen. Eric Levy is here.
Yep.
And we'll be right back in just a moment.
Yep,
Don't
stay
go
with
anywhere.
us.
Watch all month long as Spectrum News 13 celebrates Veterans and Military Families Month. This is Community. This is Spectrum News 13. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Central Florida is my home. I grew up here. In our podcast, Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, Greg Angel, Gary Darling, and I sit down with people creating change and finding solutions.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, available on the Spectrum News app.
During the Chevy Cyber Cash sales event at Bob's Deal Chevy, it's Black Friday savings every day, all month long. Our Thanksgiving gift is new Chevys, less than MSRP. That's right, over 160 new Silverados, Colorados, Equinox, Tahoes, everything's on sale with many less than MSRP. While they last, Bob's Deal has new Chevy trucks and SUVs, no payments till next year. And get up to $5,000 more for your trade. With lifetime oil changes and tire rotations. For real savings, see Steele before you make any deal.
At Weichert Realtors Hallmark Properties, we've been locally owned and operated for over 40 years. And in our ever-evolving marketplace, the personal touch from our real estate professionals is more important than ever.
And with our global network, no matter where you are or where you've been, Weichert Realtors Hallmark Properties can get you where you need to go. Our family, serving yours.
Black Friday, Appliance Direct, whole kitchen, all Whirlpool, 12 payments, $323 per month, 0 down, 0 interest, 0 down, 0 interest, plus $400 cash back to you direct from Whirlpool. Black Friday, Appliance Direct. If you didn't buy direct,
you paid too much.
Florida on a Tankful is brought to you by Garage Experts, garage flooring and storage solutions to transform your garage to the garage of your dreams.
7:51 now as we continue to track Tropical Storm Nicole. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Maureen McCann and Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick, and we're still seeing all those sites along our coast here, and we're going to be watching the coast very closely as we get close to high tide here in the next hour.
Yeah, we saw what high tide did yesterday along our east coast. Those images were very impressive, and now we're going to be seeing the next high tide cycle come up between about 8:30 and 9 for most of our east coast locations. So when we turn to the Bogan Munds and Munds at Shepherd Park Cocoa Beach Cam on a regular basis, we don't always see that rough. We also don't see the water levels coming up that high. So coastal erosion a threat, knowing that wave heights have been detected at 15 to 16 feet along our coast. So here are those tide times. If you're keeping track, the tide will go out in the 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock time frame, but then there will be another high tide tonight, 9:12 for Daytona Beach, 8:38 for Cocoa Beach. So pretty much within that time frame along all of our East Coast locations. Whenever we have large wind field pushing the water, and that causes the water levels to come up higher than they usually are, and that leads to our coastal flooding and storm surge threat, which is why those storm surge warnings continue along our east coast. Wave heights or the seas getting elevated, plus we have the onshore moving water with the wind pushing it. So winds to 60 miles per hour. This is the latest advisory information we have on Nicole as it moves over land, but still, Chris, with winds of 60 miles per hour and with the threat of some pockets of heavy rain.
Yeah, pockets of heavy rain stretching from northern Florida down into southwest Florida. So Nicole having far-reaching impacts all across the state here continuing this morning. And as we take you into Clystron 13, you can see that the rain's letting up a little bit in eastern Orange County, Brevard County, portions of Osceola County, and the heavier bands kind of setting up right around Orlando and back into Apopka, Ocoee, Windermere, and then stretching into Lake County around Claremont, Mineola, Groveland, Leesburg, Wildwood, and the Villages, seeing some of the heavier activity. Now, we have a tornado watch for Flagler County, which means conditions are favorable for tornadoes to develop, but so far we haven't seen anything develop. And earlier there was a lot of stronger cells coming off the Atlantic waters, stronger downpours working toward Palm Coast and Flagler Beach, but we're not seeing that as much, and more of that activity is kind of shifting back to the north around St. Augustine, but still some gusty winds embedded with this activity around Palm Coast, Flagler Beach, Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, and Port Orange. And again, along I-4 and points to the west, we'll see the heavier activity over the next hour or two. But notice what's happening here after a little bit of a break down into portions of Brevard County. We're starting to see the rain start to fill in a little bit more here in southern Brevard County, Indian River County. So Melbourne, Mico, Malabar, Grand Valcaria, you'll likely see some heavier rain fill in as the system continues to kind of wrap around. So after a break there in Brevard County, more rain heading your direction. River flooding, big concern here as we're looking at the St. John's near DeLand back into moderate flood stage, along with the St. John's near Sanford. So the water levels have come back up, unfortunately, after all the progress we made over the past 5 to 6 weeks. And we're looking at here the flood stage rising at Lake Harney back above 9 feet into that moderate flood stage. So we are going to watch the St. Johns River Basin very closely here throughout the day today, and also as we head into the upcoming weekend. Ebeth and Eric.
All right, Chris Gilson, thank you very much, as well as Maureen McCann. Check back with you a little bit later on. We want to check in with Katie Streit. She is in Daytona Beach, tracking the conditions out there.
Wow.
Yes, we're actually on our way to Daytona Beach shores. However, there you can see the bridge is closed, as well as flooding is in the area. We've seen just in the last 10 minutes, folks are trying to go through these flood waters, but you know, this is pretty deep water, and unless you have a truck, we really don't recommend it. And even with a truck, I would say stay away from the flood waters. But you know, folks are trying to make it to the Daytona Beach shores area, but that bridge is still closed. The only folks we've been seeing going into that area is law enforcement officers and first responders. We've seen 2 SWAT trucks actually go towards that area as well. So we're going to continue to keep you guys updated with the conditions that are going on in the Daytona Beach area. But if you are in this environment, make sure you are inside and away from flood waters. Live in Daytona Beach, Katie Streit, Spectrum News.
All right, thank you, Katie. And speaking of what's happening out on the roads, we're tracking, sadly, a deadly crash right now. Jerry Hume joining us live once again.
And this is one of the reasons why you don't want to be on the roadways, because we are seeing very serious crashes out here. Let's take a look. This is right here behind me. You can see on the right side of your screen, the law enforcement, first responders there. This is Florida's Turnpike, and this is going to be very close to the 408 southbound. 2 left lanes are blocked because of this deadly crash. You know, there are more vehicles entering the roadways, and we're seeing things like this, cars going through flooded roadways. That's why you want to stay home. This is that I-4 East ramp to Central Florida Parkway near SeaWorld out there, so avoid that for the time being. We're also seeing it, we mentioned here, the 429, the northbound ramp from Franklin Street, Plant Street right now. Avoid that. Also here on the Turnpike going back there, this is the northbound off ramp to State Road 50. It's blocked because of some flooding out there. More Nicole coverage coming up after this. You're watching Spectrum News 13.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Paradise Ford. We do what we say at Paradise Ford every day.
Do you have an older fiberglass shower or bath that looks something like this? Well, if so, you're probably noticing some stains that just won't go away, or maybe you just want to freshen up the space with something new. Either way, West Shore Home is here to help. And today, in just 9 hours, this is going to be replaced by a beautiful, brand new walk-in shower. All right, the crew's ready to go. Let's get started. Folks, you saw it right here. West Shore Home completely transformed this bath space, and they did it in less than 9 hours. To start your project, call the number on your screen right now. Set up that free in-home design consultation. And when you do, take advantage of this great offer. 18 months of no payments and no interest financing. Plus, for a limited time, they're taking $1,500 off every shower and bath project. Call the shower and bath experts at West Shore Home now.
Life is a lot like a race, with lots of hurdles to get over. Some of the first ones feel the tallest, like getting a credit card, or buying a car, or even saving for a home. Addition Financial is there to help at every stride by providing education and all the financial tools you'll need to conquer those hurdles. Addition Financial, count us in.
Here's to the handholders, the caregivers, the listeners, the eyes, ears, hands, and hearts of healthcare. The bridge between what's possible and what happens. The best of the best. At Orlando Health, we're hiring nurses who share that spirit and proudly investing in our own to continue growing the best care team around. They're just some of the ways we support our nurses. Won't you join them?
Presented by your Central Florida Acura dealers, exhilaration comes standard.
Tropical Storm Nicole has now made landfall along the coast, and still we are seeing the impacts of this storm.
And the impacts are substantial in many areas along the coastline. You can see waves, whitecaps, sea foam, and on the streets, the rain is blowing horizontally by the tropical storm and in some cases hurricane-force wind gusts, all as Mother Nature not being friendly this morning as we are tracking Tropical Storm Nicole. Thanks for staying with us for our continued live in-depth team coverage. I'm Eric Levy.
And I'm Curtis McLeod. Sid and Andy Beth taking a little bit of a break this morning, and she'll be back momentarily.
Yes,
we are here to continue our coverage right now for you, help you as we walk you through this storm.
And the storm is spiraling inland right now, beginning to weaken, thankfully, but still a very formidable tropical storm, losing some of its steam. But we're going to plot it for you right now with our certified weather experts. Let's head on over to the Weather Center, and we have certified Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick, certified meteorologist Maureen McCann, and on the right side, certified meteorologist Chris Gilson. Good morning to you all.
Good morning, Eric and Curtis. We are still watching Tropical Storm Nicole move across the area, but we are seeing some big breaks in the rainfall, at least, east. Chris, doesn't look like we are seeing much of a break in some of the strong winds.
Yeah, the winds continue as we look at the Lissa.com weather camera here in Sanford, looking at Lake Monroe. The winds really cranking up along the I-4 corridor, still in points to the west. Those wind gusts around 60 miles per hour at times, and we'll hold on to these gusty winds here through at least the middle to latter portion of the morning. Maureen?
The rain has let up a little bit in Seminole County, which is good because of our ongoing concerns about the St. Johns River. There are still some gusty squalls moving across southern Lake and Sumter counties, moving into places like Webster and Terrytown. Also in Flagler County, some gusty bands coming on shore. This is where we've been monitoring the risk of isolated pockets of rotation. That threat seems to be lessening, but we're not done yet. Don't forget, Flagler County is still in a tornado watch until 1 p.m.
All right, thank you all so much. We appreciate it, and we'll check back in with our team of weather experts in just a bit.
Yeah, we have a team of reporters that are fanned out all across Central Florida, giving you the impacts and showing you what it's like in many, many areas. And it's pretty uniform, Curtis. We have a lot of rain, a lot of wind. But as you've been hearing from our certified weather experts, the storm is slowly but surely spiraling out, and better times are ahead. I believe we're going to go to Flagler County now and get an update on the Flagler Beach Pier.
Yes, we are. Nick Popham is right now joining us live there. And Nick, we can see the wind, flapping around out there. What's the very latest from where you are now in Flagler?
Well, we're certainly looking for those better times to come soon, because the wind continues to pound this area and the waves keep creeping closer and closer to where we are. I mean, you could just see the strength of some of these waves as they head closer to the shore, or past the shoreline to where we are on this walkway here. Lots of sand on the ground here and some sea foam that we're seeing. It's already made its way onto the walkway here right by the Flagler Beach Pier. And just down from where we are, there's a little bit less of some road stoppage and just a lot of debris that has made its way here from the beach behind me. Wind is the #1 issue right now for so many of us in this county. That's why we're in that tornado watch until about 1 p.m. And hopefully, as the meteorologists have said, it'll continue to lessen as the hours progress. This is essentially going to be the worst of it for the coastline here. We've been told from about 7 to about 8:30 in this area specifically is when there's going to be a lot of those issues. So we're kind of hopefully now on the back end of it, and we'll continue to see that as the hours progress. But for now, live at Flagler Beach, I'm Nick Popham. We'll send it back to you.
Okay, Nick Popham, thank you very much. And of course, the Flagler Beach Pier holding up. But as you know, Curtis, during Hurricane Ian and storms of the past, we have seen damage. Flagler Beach Pier, actually, there is money set aside to be able to do some repairs and improvements to it. But once the storm gets out of here, they're probably going to be doing some checks of it just to make sure any more damage was not caused by it, and more money has to be spent.
I know they'll be looking at it very closely. All right, we want to go ahead now and send things out to our Will Robinson-Smith. He is in Brevard County, been in that area pretty much throughout the morning. Will, how are things looking where you are right now? I do see the wind. It looks like it's picking up a little bit out there. Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Curtis and Eric, the rain is not the issue that we're dealing with right now. It's the relentless wind, and it's putting things where they shouldn't be. In fact, you've got a bumper down here that we've seen come off of the water in we're at the Cocoa Beach, or the Cocoa Village Park, Lee Warner Park. Got a lot more issues to deal with, though. You can see we're right next to this boat mast. It's just one of a number of watercraft that's been knocked from where it was supposed to be, and Vincent will pan to the left right here. You can see several other boats that are battering near Lee Warner Park. You can see just how aggressive the water of the Indian River is, shoving those boats and knocking around the piers here. Obviously, this is an area that also, flooded and dealt with a lot of headache following Hurricane Ian, and now we're seeing the impacts from Tropical Storm Nicole. And I mean, you can tell right here, we're taking a step back. I mean, we're at a safe distance right now, but we've seen a lot of ocean or river spray that's been bouncing over the wall here at the park, kind of stinging like it was rain from sideways, but it's just the water coming from the Indian River. like you just saw right there. So we've seen Cocoa police in the area also patrolling nearby, keeping an eye on the situation. Obviously, want to make sure that even though the watercraft are sideways, that they're protected. As we've heard from other law enforcement officials, those who are committing crimes during declaration of emergency, like here in Cocoa, that's taken increasingly more serious. So definitely something that we're keeping an eye on here. The boat situation and the spray that we're getting from the Indian River. So we're trying to keep an eye on ourselves and an eye on the impacts from this tropical storm, and hoping that the winds will die down hopefully soon. Reporting live here in Cocoa Village, Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News 13.
All right, Will, thank you very much. Let's go right now to this picture that we've been staying on top of. This is one of those e-pass cameras right there at the 429 at the Plant Street entrance ramp. Since we've been showing you this with that standing water, we have actually just now seen crews come in. It is a little difficult to see exactly what they're doing, but there is a work truck parked off to the side, and it appears they may be trying to pump some of that water away. This is a construction zone, so the water, there's probably a poor drainage area right there. We'd been mentioning the fact that we were hoping that they would be blocking that off because we've seen people driving through that standing water. Nonetheless, there are workers doing some kind of work to that area, hopefully being able to drain some of that water from that.
All right, now we want to go ahead and bring you another picture right here, a live look, if we can pivot right now, to Crane's Roost in Altamont Springs, where strong winds brought the Christmas tree down. Don't you just hate to see this? Our photojournalist Chris Hare just got on the scene there. This is what it looks like. Of course, the sun coming up. These images show the impact of the overnight conditions there. That Christmas tree, putting a little bit of a damper on things, showing you the strength and the power of this storm.
Luckily, we're still about a month and some days away from Christmas, so they can get that Christmas tree back up and get back into the Christmas spirit. Coming up for you, we're going to continue our live in-depth team coverage of Tropical Storm Nicole, weakening Tropical Storm Nicole, but still causing plenty of nasty conditions across the area.
Yes, we do. We do have still live team coverage, teams all across the region here on Spectrum News 13, plus weather as well. We'll have the latest updates. I want to go ahead and give you a quick preview with certified meteorologist Chris Gilson. Hey, Chris.
Still tracking some heavy rain, Curtis and Eric, and along with those high winds, we're approaching high tide too, and that will have a big impact on our east coast. We'll break down the latest on Nicole and when it moves away when we come back with Fleischer on 13.
Central Florida is a community where people quickly become connected with one another.
When you watch your evening news, you'll see a reflection of yourself, your issues, your neighborhood.
And I hope by seeing our stories, people become better informed and inspired to be involved in our communities.
We're stronger together, and I feel lucky to be able to call this home. Join us for your evening news on Spectrum News 13 and on the Spectrum News app.
Mike Erdman Cadillac, quality you can trust. 32 years of business, located in beautiful Merritt Island, Florida. New luxurious Cadillacs and over 350 plus quality pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Expectations are exceeded with the Mike Erdman Cadillac VIP Family Plan. Complimentary no-cost maintenance, plus 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. Mike Erdman Cadillac, quality you can trust. Call or visit us today.
Hi, William Shatner here. It's the Medicare annual enrollment period, and this year it's simple. 1, before the deadline, call the number below. 2, check your zip code for a Medicare Advantage plan with prescriptions, dental care, and the benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every month. 3, you'll find out what you're eligible for. AEP has a deadline. Call now.
I called to find a plan that covers more of my dental expenses.
I call every year to make sure my doctor is still in my plan.
I called to find a plan with lower copays.
I called to see if my zip code has a plan with the benefit that adds money back to my Social Security check.
I call every year to make sure my plan's copays didn't go up.
Millions of people have called the Medicare Coverage Helpline. You should too. AEP has a deadline, so don't delay. Call now.
Call 1-800-908-6702. That's 1-800-908-6702.
Now.
Tropical storm Nicole is still working across central Florida, dumping some heavy rain. It is 8:11 on this Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick and Marie McCann. We're getting some viewer pictures in now of some of the damage coming in from the overnight hours. This is a look at a tree down in Osceola County in St. Cloud. Thanks to Patricia for sending us that picture. As long as it's safe to do so, you can upload those pictures on the Spectrum News app in the weather section on the weather page. Now, here's a look at some of those wind gusts that likely brought that tree down. We've had those wind gusts around 60 miles per hour and higher at times, upwards of 73 miles per hour in Brevard County at the Melbourne Airport. Daytona Beach reporting a wind gust up to 70 miles per hour. Patrick Space Force Base had winds over 60 miles per hour. Even in Orlando, we had a wind gust up to 63 miles per hour. Sanford, similar wind gust earlier this morning. A live look at the Flooring Center weather camera on the Citrus Tower in Claremont showing the heavy rain that continues to fall. And most of the rain is kind of setting up right along I-4 back to the north and west, stretching through Ocala, Leesburg, and Claremont. And after a little bit of a break here in Brevard County, we're starting to see some of this rain kind of fill in southeastern Osceola County into Indian River County, Melbourne, Mico. You'll pick up some heavier rain after a bit of a break as we're getting some more rain wrapping in around Nicole as it continues to push to the west and northwest. And you can see the different camera views here along our coast. The Flagler Beach Pier Cam, we're going to be watching the high tide here between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. So conditions along the coast are going to be dangerous and continue to be bad there as we approach high tide here in the next 30 minutes or so. So rain continues to fall mainly along I-4 and points to the north and west. We do have a tornado watch for Flagler County that runs until 1 o'clock this afternoon. We had some stronger cells working in off the Atlantic coast earlier, but now we're just seeing some pockets of steadier rain here from Palm Coast, Flagler Beach, stretching into Ormond Beach. So as we time out Nicole and its progress, we'll see here as we go through the morning hours, we're going to start to see the storm system pull away pretty quickly. So as early as noon, 1 o'clock, the worst weather will start to shift a little bit more farther to the north and west. We'll still likely have some winds, but our conditions will gradually improve later on this afternoon and into the evening. So really between now and noon, we're still looking at those big impacts across the region. By this afternoon into the evening, we start to see the winds let up a bit and we start to clear out as we head into the upcoming weekend. We'll have more details on the hazards that we're watching, all coming up in less than 10 minutes. Curtis and Eric.
Certified meteorologist Chris Gilson, thank you very much. We want to get a road check right now and get an update on that deadly crash that Jerry's watching very carefully. What you got in the traffic center?
Yeah, unfortunately, we do have this deadly crash, Eric and Curtis. This is Florida's Turnpike, and right now it's here near the 408 southbound. Couple of left lanes are blocked out here. We do have some more vehicles entering the roadway. Remember, you shouldn't stay home. It's still not safe out there. We have some flooded roadways as well. I want to take you over to the 429. You can see that ramp here from Plant Street, Franklin Street. It is blocked right now because of those waters. We have seen some vehicles go through this ramp right now, and that's not exactly a good idea. We also have seen it here on I-4. This is the Central Florida Parkway ramp right here. You can see this truck's going to do it right now to get towards the SeaWorld area from I-4 East, and you just don't know how deep that can be or if it could stall your vehicle. So if you do see standing water on the roadways, remember to turn around and you don't want to drown. We're also watching a new crash for you. This is also on the Turnpike, really busy on the Turnpike this morning. This is an I-4 West ramp to Florida's Turnpike, that crash right now. So again, recommendation right now is to stay home because we still have a lot of flooded roadways, some debris on the roadways. You just don't know if it's going to be safe to be out there for that drive this morning. We'll send it back to Eric and Curtis.
All right, Jerry Hume, thank you very much. Obviously, there's problems on the highways and the byways, but also there is no traffic in the airways, at least in Central Florida, because Orlando International Airport leaders are not allowing jets to come in and out. They made that decision, and flights were not banned, but not allowed to come in and out of the airport as of yesterday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Here is a picture of actually from the, looks like the taxiway by the gates there, some of the measures that are in place to make sure that those don't blow around. The Greater Orlando Aviation Authority Emergency Operations Center is activated, and just as a preventative measure, you can see the plastic draped over the computer monitors. Obviously, they want to make sure that the expensive technology and equipment that they use to check you in is not damaged. So we're going to monitor as they are, and we'll let you know when the airport reopens.
Also, right now, we want to tell you all Link services will be off the street until further notice to comply with Central Florida's emergency operations request to keep all roads clear, of course, with emergency situations. Link's officials tell us they have bus operators and employees on standby for when the storm passes. A lot of people looking forward to that so they can actually get out and check out anything that may be out and about at that point in time.
Yeah, and mandatory evacuations were put into place in Volusia County, specifically for if you live in a manufactured home east of I-95. The campsites and the RV parks also are under those mandatory evacuations. That was put into place last night at 7 o'clock, and it is actually was supposed to end about an hour and 17 minutes ago, but I would suspect that may still be in place if the conditions are as bad as they still are until the storm spirals away. But again, that mandatory evacuation in place for parts of Volusia County, mainly, again, those east of I-95 and also the Intracoastal Waterway, and the campsites and the RV parks, obviously the motorhomes.
Yeah, right now we want to give you a live look at Cranes Roost Park right now in Altamont Springs. Take a look at this here.
That's
strong
sad.
winds. I know,
Yeah.
very sad. Brought down the big Christmas tree there. Our photojournalist Chris Hare just was on the scene for a little while now. This is what it looks like. Of course, you're getting a good vantage point with the sun up here to show just the power of this storm and those overnight conditions. We saw the wind blowing around out there. So, and like you mentioned earlier, Eric, we still got some time, ways away from Christmas, to get this thing put back up.
And some people might be wondering, why are Christmas trees up anyways? But you know what, Christmas lights always get us into a good mood, and we'll be in a much better mood when the conditions improve.
We sure will be. We sure will be. Of course, we have continuing team coverage here on Spectrum News 13 throughout the morning. Of course, crews fanned out across the region.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back, and we'll have a check of the latest coordinates on the storm next.
Marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
The following portion of Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been, will be, and it'll be here sooner than you think.
No nonsense for small business means everything you need, nothing you don't. You need speed. Spectrum delivers the fastest internet speeds in the nation. You need to stay connected. They give you Spectrum Business Voice with unlimited long distance and tons of added features. You need outstanding value. Get internet at 600 megabits per second for only $49.99 a month and Business Voice for $19.99 a month. Plus, add Spectrum Mobile for just $29.99 a month. That's everything you need. Now, what don't you need?
Nonsense.
No nonsense. Yes, no contracts, no surprise fees, no added taxes. Get 600 meg internet for only $49.99 and Business Voice for $19.99. And they throw in the no nonsense for free. Call 833-645-0666 and switch to Spectrum Business today.
There's certain moments in life that we cherish forever. The once-in-a-lifetime moments. The moments we realize it's all worth it.
But sometimes, unexpected accidents can threaten to take these moments away. We strive to help get your life back on track so you can get back to making memories that count.
It's our job to try to help right these wrongs that make life hard.
That's why you choose us.
That's why you choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been, will be, and it'll be here sooner than you think.
Welcome back in, and I'm meteorologist Chris Gilson with Maureen McCann and Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick as we continue to watch Tropical Storm Nicole. Still some heavy rain, gusty squalls moving across the region, but it was overnight, Maureen, that we saw the landfall in Indian River County.
Yeah, landfall defined as when the center of low pressure passes over land. So, of course, the impact still occurring with the ongoing rain and wind, but when landfall occurred around 3 o'clock this morning, that's when the center of the eye moved over North Hutchinson Island. That's a little south of Vero Beach.
And this is what it did as it has been moving across the region. This is what we're seeing along the coast. This picture from Tony Ray, uploading it to the Spectrum News app. You can see the water coming up there at Melbourne Beach. And this is really only the beginning, Maureen, because we're approaching high tide here. So the storm surge is going to be a big concern here.
That's right. And we're looking at the wave heights around 14 to 15 feet as estimated by Clystron 13. Of course, not a day to be out in the boat, but out in the Gulf Stream, the water levels are even higher due to high pressure, so rather low pressure, I should say. It's high tide. That's what I was trying to get into. High tide is approaching Daytona Beach and Cocoa Beach within the next 30 to 45 minutes along our east coast. So that is when conditions will likely be at their worst in terms of the threat of erosion. You just saw what it did with that picture that came in from Melbourne Beach. An estimated 3 to 5 foot surge, not out of the question, even isolated amounts that could be a bit higher. Even though Nicole is inland, Chris, it is still going to have those impacts along the coast, but also across the interior.
A lot of high winds still wrapping around Nicole. Nicole has winds itself of 60 miles per hour. Movement is to the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. We had those wind gusts earlier around 60 to 70 miles per hour. That still could be possible in parts, at least the 60 mile per hour wind gusts, likely not 70 miles per hour. But we are looking at some heavy downpours here along I-4 back through Lake County and around Ocala. So north and west of Orlando, a better chance for some of the heavier activity. And to southern Brevard County, southern Osceola County, we're seeing some wraparound as Nicole's center works across central Florida. Some of this moisture working back in from the south and west that will skirt across portions of Brevard County around Melbourne and Mitco, stretching into Osceola County. So Kissimmee, you could see some of that rain eventually. And this rain will continue through at least midday. As we mentioned, the winds, they've been gusting throughout the overnight and this morning. We're not seeing the wind gusts as high as they were overnight, but those winds still gusting over 40 miles per hour in Orlando, nearly 50 miles per hour in Sanford at 47 and 45 in Daytona Beach. We want to mention, too, that the river's levels here at the St. Johns River Basin starting to come back up because of the rain and the wind around Nicole. So we're looking at major flood stage yet again near Astor along the St. Johns River, and the Little Wekiva River is near flood stage. It's not there yet, but it's just below flood stage there. So watching that one, and above Lake Harney, we're also seeing the St. Johns River begin to rise. But once we get into the afternoon hours, into the evening, we'll start to see the weather back down a bit as Nicole pulls away, and we'll have more on that coming up in the next half hour.
All right, Chris Gilson and Maureen McCann and certified meteorologist, thank you so much for the update.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, now we want to go ahead and check in with our Ashley Mills. She is standing by looking at some power outage numbers for us, Ashley, as well as storm damage. Tell us, what's the latest update right now?
Right, those power outages, that's what I'm here for. We've been tracking FLP's numbers as well now as Duke's. They have customers surrounding the Orlando area. Let's go ahead and check on that map they have. They've been constantly updating that one as well. So if you kind of draw a circle around Orlando, that greater Orlando area, the outskirts there, you show tens of thousands of outages in that kind of outlying area and places surrounding the city. Duke says right now that crews are going to get to work on restoring power to all of these customers as soon as they possibly can. And that means when the winds drop below 30 miles per hour. But they are sending a tip to some folks. Take a listen.
If you are in an area that could be flooded, turn off your breaker it's in your garage, so turn off your breaker so that you proactively turn off your electricity. Water and electricity don't mix. That's a danger to your family, your pets, and even to your property. It's a fire danger. So it's a quick safety tip. Keep your family and, of course, your pets safe.
She says this goes particularly for those living in flood-prone areas and also in those areas already saturated with a lot of water, the rain from Ian not so long ago. We'll continue to get a check on things and we'll update you throughout the morning. Live now in the control room, Ashley Mills, Spectrum News 13.
All right, thanks for the update, Ashley. Let's head right now to the traffic center. We'll get an update on the situation that Jerry's been following with the deadly crash, but also we've been watching this camera. This is the 429 at Plant Street. Some work going on, right, Jer?
Yeah, I know you've been watching this closely, Eric, and yeah, it is flooded with that construction going on right there. We do have some, looks like county vehicles on scene here, at least some construction vehicles, and what you don't want to do is what this truck's going to do is go through the water, because you just don't know how high it is, and you know, you could get stalled. That vehicle made it okay, but you never know. So yeah, don't do that. We're also seeing it here on the I-4 East ramp to Central Florida Parkway, the SeaWorld area. Well, this car is going to try to go on the side there. Yeah, I mean, you can try. I would try to use another ramp. I mean, here you could use the beach line to get to that area, and instead of getting your vehicle stuck or something worse. We are watching that deadly crash we've been covering for you. This is Florida's Turnpike. It is still active out here. This is going to be at the 408. Two left lanes are still blocked, and we're still dealing with wet weather conditions, as our meteorologists have been mentioning. You can see our camera here. This is I-4 here near Florida's Turnpike, where yeah, we're still dealing with those wet conditions for that commute right now. We'll take you to the big map right now, and yeah, the weather overlays on right now showing that right there. Flagler County officials warning people to stay off of A1A because of the beach erosion. You don't want to add any more stress to that road right now. Officially, it's closed between 18th Street and 10th Street, but really you should try to stay off of A1A. We'll continue to cover the latest with Nicole, and here's a live look at some images for us. You're watching Spectrum News 13 on this November 10th, 2022. We're back after this.
Proudly celebrating 25 years as part of the Central Florida community. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
High Stack has helped thousands of injured people over more than 50 years. We believe in living in the present and planning for the future, rather than resting on our past accomplishments. If we can help you today, call us at 725-7575.
For over 40 years, Alpazar Law has been serving Brevard in their time of need. You see a lot of personal injury ads, but not all lawyers will give your case the attention it deserves. Many do not have true experience or the resources to handle your case. Most don't go to trial. There's a reason Alpazar Law is Brevard's choice and the name people call after a car crash. We pride ourselves on quality legal service, and our winning record speaks for itself. The consultation is always free. Alpazar Law, we're here for you.
During the Chevy Cyber Cash sales event at Bob's Deal Chevy, it's Black Friday savings every day all month long. Our Thanksgiving gift is new Chevys, less than MSRP. That's right, over 160 new Silverados, Colorados, Equinox, Tahoes, everything's on sale with many less than MSRP. While they last, Bob's Deal has new Chevy trucks and SUVs, no payments till next year. And get up to $5,000 more for your trade. With lifetime oil changes and tire rotations. For real savings, see Steel before you make any deal.
My grandson and I enjoy playing basketball, and it had become a weekly thing. But I started noticing my vision was getting worse. Things looked cloudy, and sometimes I had double vision. I just wasn't able to play the way I used to. I went to Tress Vision, and they were able to restore my sight so I could get back to doing what I love.
At Tress Vision Group, formerly Brevard Eye Center, our mission remains the same. We fix your eyesight so you can fix your eyes on what matters most. Let us be your guide on the journey to better vision.
I'm David Gordon. And I'm Mike Kirby. Together with our team of dedicated attorneys and paralegals, we are High Stack Gordon Kirby, reaching high for our clients since 1962.
Presented by your Central Florida Acura dealers, exhilaration comes standard.
The conditions are nasty. The conditions are rough. From inland all the way to the coast, Mother Nature hitting us hard with high winds and heavy rain and angry seas, whether it's local lakes or the oceans and the Gulf of Mexico. The impacts of Tropical Storm Nicole hitting us hard. Thanks for staying with us for our continued in-depth team coverage of now Tropical Storm Nicole. I'm Eric Levy.
And I'm Ebeth Bruswal. Time right now is 8:31. There's a tornado watch we want to let you know about until 1 o'clock this afternoon in Flagler County. How about the rest of Central Florida? Let's talk about that right now with our certified meteorologist. We've got so many folks on deck right now. We've got Maureen McCann and also Chris Gilson. Had to squint there for a little bit as we show you live pictures on the right-hand side of the screen. So walk us through what impacts are being felt right now.
Right now we have wind, we have rain, and it's approaching high tide. And that's going to be our biggest concern, Chris. Even though you're tracking Nicole inland, we still have these threats from coast to coast.
Yeah, we're seeing the heavy rain from Jacksonville down toward Tampa, heavy rain still around Central Florida, and we're approaching the high tide times for our East Coast beaches here as we go through the next half hour. So Daytona Beach, high tide is at 8:53. Cocoa Beach is at 8:36. And we've already seen pictures coming in yesterday and this morning of all the damage along our coast from the coastal erosion. And we're looking at the rough seas out there today already. And this is a look at one of the pictures from one of our viewers, Tony. Thanks for sending that one in from Melbourne Beach. So this is going to be an even bigger concern here during this half hour.
Right. So the effects of storm surge plus still some bands of rain moving on shore. We've been mentioning the ongoing low tornado threat. St. Augustine has actually been brought into a tornado warning, but that's in St. Johns County. It's to the north of Flagler County. So travel really not advised anyways, knowing that there could be tropical storm force winds. But up I-95, that is where conditions are a bit more hazardous. And it looks like the trajectory of these bands offshore would be moving north of Palm Coast and Marineland. But nonetheless, still a busy morning on Clystron 13. We'll be back with the latest on Nicole in just a few moments.
All right, Maureen and Chris, thank you very much.
We continue our team coverage right now, checking in with our various crews because things are intensifying. Nick Popham is joining us live from Flagler County. You're right there by the pier. Things are looking pretty nasty.
Yeah, we made it a little way further south from the pier. We're over on A1A on South 13th Street here in Flagler Beach because the road, as you can see behind me, has just been taking a beating from these waves. They just continue to make their way over this embankment onto the roadway here. You can see a lot of rocks and debris here, and some of the road has been washed away. You can see the waves kind of coming up on here right now. We were speaking with the city engineer or the county engineer rather, just a few moments ago, and she was saying that there was a part of the road that had been eroded just a little further north from where we are. We're going to go check it out and talk with her a little bit later. But again, we were mentioning the pier. The pier was something that was impacted by Hurricane Ian, and now Hurricane and Tropical Storm Nicole has just began to hit it even more. And so the folks here are staying vigilant. They're taking a look at the water here and seeing where it's going. But it is making its way closer and closer to where we are. You had mentioned that high tide on the East Coast is around this time, and it seems pretty blatant that that's exactly what we're dealing with here. I mean, these waves are crashing right onto the roadway here on A1A. So again, we're going to continue to monitor it, bring you the very latest. But for now, live in Flagler Beach, I'm Nick Popham. We'll send it back to you.
Okay, Nick, thank you very much. Yeah, this is what a lot of people were concerned about, the constant beating of the waves just taking their toll on the roads and the infrastructure.
And you see it right there because now it's taking away the sand, and when it comes over, touching A1A, that's when things get very, very dangerous.
And there's the Flagler Beach Pier. Speaking of infrastructure, it has yellow tape blocking access to it, and the waves are going underneath, hitting those pilings. It is still standing, but it is probably getting a little bit weaker, and there's already been money set aside to improve it, but hopefully there's not that much damage, if at all, any additional than what we already saw from Ian and other storms in the past.
The intensity of those waves is just so hard for me to process.
I know.
And just again, that part of Central Florida, so we're talking Flagler County, again, they're still under a tornado watch until 1 o'clock this afternoon.
And
high tide, definitely not helping situation there.
And I did want to remind you very, very quickly, we want to get to Jesse Canales, but we did have this that we're monitoring the city of Cocoa Beach. The city phone lines have not been working, and we know that they are working diligently to get those back up. So if you're in Cocoa Beach, city phone lines are not working. That's what the notice that we have. have as of just the last few minutes.
From Flagler County, let's take you back to Seminole County. That's where we find Jesse Canales, who's been out there for hours. You're right there, and that's Lake Monroe. That is so intense right now, the water. Where are you exactly up and down along that certain part of Central Florida there in front of Lake Monroe?
Well, Beth, I'm not that far away. Just to give you an idea of some of the popular intersections, downtown Sanford is about a little more than 2 miles from here. You can see the marina all the way over there. That's where a lot of people go, take out their boats, go shopping, get some food. And a little more a mile there, there's a Monroe Hospital. But to give you an idea of what the current situation is right now, according to our weather experts, St. John's River is about 7 feet as far as the water level. What that means, well, I can show you what that means, is that Lake Monroe water is going to go above that seawall onto the grassy area. You can see that's been doing that for quite some time now and causing damage to several of the vegetation along this area, spilling it all over the walkways onto the road. And another thing it also means is that one of the most busiest roads in Orlando metropolitan area, Cimarron Boulevard, could start seeing some water encroaching in that road. And according to our weather experts, that's by Thursday, the water at St. John's River will be about 7.7 feet. That means within the past week, we've seen 1 foot of water rise because of this storm after weeks of progress. Now, once it reaches that point, then the roadways here will be flooded and become impassable on secondary roadways on Lake Monroe. We'll continue to monitor this around the day. For now, reporting live in Sanford, Jessica Ellis, Spectrum News 13.
All right, Jesse, thank you. And that wind that is silencing him just at times as it's hitting the microphone, maybe knocking out power. But if you have the Spectrum News app on your phone or your tablet, you can still keep in touch with us and have those push alerts on. We'll keep you posted that way.
Because it is high tide, because Flagler County still has that tornado watch, let's bring in back our severe weather experts to tell us what we can expect here in the next little while. I have no idea who's joining us, but there, hey, Chris Gilson.
Maureen's there somewhere, too.
We're all here, and we are still tracking Nicole. We'll have the latest on when Nicole moves out and when our weather starts to improve when we come back with Place on 13.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Gary Yeomans Ford. The lowest pricing and largest selection. Florida says, go Yeomans.
Junk sleep got you all jumbled up? During Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale, get a king bed for the price of a queen and save up to $700 on Sealy. Plus, get a free adjustable base. Only at Mattress Firm.
Hey man, are you Alpocalypse 423?
Yeah.
What's the deal? You got me running all over the place, day and night.
Oh, I have Spectrum now. Fastest Wi-Fi speeds around.
Oh, that's cool. How about we just pump the brakes though, now and again? This thing's like 2,000 pounds. You want to hold it?
Yes, I do.
Well, you can't, because it'll whip your arms right out of your body. And then how are you going to play your game?
I'm sorry, it's just really, really fast.
What if I just split your house in half with my Warhammer?
It still works out here, so it's pointless.
Spectrum One delivers the fastest Wi-Fi speeds in the nation. That's game-changing speed. That's Spectrum One.
Do you have an older fiberglass shower or bath that looks something like this? Well, if so, you're probably noticing some stains that just won't go away. Or maybe you just want to freshen up the space with something new. Either way, West Shore Home is here to help. And today, in just 9 hours, this is going to be replaced by a beautiful, brand new walk-in shower. All right, the crew's ready to go. Let's get started. Folks, you saw it right here. West Shore Home completely transformed this bath space, and they did it in less than 9 hours. To start your project, call the number on your screen right now. Set up that free in-home design consultation. And when you do, take advantage of this great offer. West Shore Home is extending this offer for 1 week only. 18 months of no payments and no interest financing. Plus, for a limited time, they're taking $1,500 off every shower and bath project. Call the shower and bath experts at West Shore Home now.
Junk sleep got you all jumbled up? During Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale, get a king bed for the price of a queen and save up to $700 on Sealy. Plus, get a free adjustable base, only at Mattress Firm.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, a Spectrum News 13 podcast that offers a closer look inside the issues, available now on the Spectrum News app.
It is 8:41. We're seeing still some heavy rain falling across portions of Central Florida, and right now we're approaching high tide, so dangerous conditions continue along our east coast, and you can see some of those images there on the screen. This is an image from Daytona Beach shores from Cindy Cole sending us this shot. Some of the damage in the picture was from Ian, but you can see just how high the water levels are right now this morning. As long as it's safe to do so, upload those weather pictures to the Spectrum News app. Now, as I mentioned, we're approaching high tide at this point. High tide at Daytona Beach is at 8:53, and at Cocoa Beach it's basically was a few moments ago at 8:36. So we're looking at a rough surf, dangerous surf there along the coast, coastal flooding, coastal erosion ongoing. A live look at downtown Orlando, looking to the west and southwest. Rain still coming down from the White Curve Realtors Hallmark Property Skycam as Nicole continues to move through. We still have those winds gusting over 50 miles per hour right now in Sanford, 43, in Orlando, 40, and Daytona Beach during the overnight hours when Nicole was a little bit stronger and making its approach to Central Florida. We had wind gusts around 70 miles per hour. A live look at Klystron 13 radar showing some of the heavier bands now back to the west along I-75 through Sumter County and heading toward the Gulf Coast, even around Tampa and St. Pete. They're in some heavier activity as far as the rain goes and maybe some gustier winds. And then we're looking at some more rain kind of filling in into southern and central Brevard County here around Melbourne. Looking at some of this heavier activity here in southern Brevard County, Satellite Beach, Melbourne, Mitco, down toward Yeehaw Junction. So this is all pinwheeling around the center of Nicole. And Nicole will continue to push to the west and northwest. So areas around Orlando, a little bit of a break, but we could see some of this rain here that's down to the south and east kind of move in yet again. So we may not be completely done with the rain. However, as we walk you through Klystron 13 Futurecast, this is right now. And then as we go into noon, we're looking at the storm system pulling away from us and heading toward North Florida. And then on the backside of it, it will still be breezy to windy through this evening, and we still could have some pockets of rain overnight and during the day on Friday. Once we get beyond Friday, we'll see a pretty nice weekend shaping up with high temperatures back into the 70s by Sunday. So a few more hours here with the worst weather. And right now we have high tide along the east coast. By this afternoon, especially mid-afternoon into the evening, most of the heavy or worst weather should be pulling to the north as Nicole exits Central Florida. We'll have more on the impacts coming up in less than 10 minutes. Marie McCann will join me then. Let's send things back over to Ebeth and Eric.
Thank you, friends.
Okay, we continue now at 8:44. Jerry Hume coming back into the mix, our traffic anchor. It's been so confusing because people are supposed to be off the road, so you see a few cars, and now we have trouble on the roads because it's so wet out there.
Yeah, so wet out there, and we're seeing these dangerous conditions persist out there, and we have a deadly crash. This is Florida's Turnpike. This is a problem here near the 408. This is southbound. A couple of left lanes are blocked. You can see some vehicles out here. You don't want to be on the roads if you don't have to right now, because we're still dealing with a lot of slick conditions out there. We're also dealing with a lot of standing water and a lot of trees down and wires, poles are down. So you just stay off the roads if you can. Take a look at this. This is a new location. I found Florida's Turnpike, the northbound ramp from State Road 50 and 429. There is some flooding there. Looks like we do have some government agencies or a contractor along with law enforcement there trying to block that ramp. We've also been catching another spot very close by. This is the 429. This is the ramp from Plant Street, which is also underwater right now. Been watching some flooding for that drive on I-4 East, the ramp to Central Florida Parkway. This car is not going to stop. They're going to go through it. They shouldn't, though. You don't know. Standing water just takes a couple of inches for it to stall your vehicle. So, yeah, turn around. You don't want to get stuck in that. We'll continue to track this for you. But for now, we're going to send it back to Eric and Beth.
I was cringing when we were watching that. This is, we can't stress that enough, and we're going to repeat it again. Don't drive through standing water. Turn around. Don't drown.
That's right. Good advice. Okay, we continue now at 8:45. So we're checking in with the FEMA Deputy Federal Coordinating Officer, Rob Patterson, joining us this morning. Hello to you, Rob. So how is your team preparing to tackle the impacts of this new storm while you still deal with the lingering impacts from Hurricane Ian 6 weeks ago?
Well, basically, we're along with Floridians, we seem to be seeing more activity and repetitive activity. So we have a strong component here, thousands of the Federal Emergency Management Agency members on behalf of our friend Ian, and now we're dealing with Nicole. At this moment, we're, like most folks should be doing, staying inside, keeping out of the weather and other conditions, but very resilient and being ready to quickly act back into things in the field while maintaining our capacities behind in unification with the state of Florida and state and local as well as tribal authorities.
Anybody who's watching this morning and has some sort of damage because of this situation with Nicole, do they then apply, in a new way because of what's happening here and now, or do they tackle on the new damage to anything, like an open case they may have pre-existing already from Hurricane Ian damage?
Right. Well, right for now, and I realize that'll be playing on a lot of people's minds. It'll be the same kind of process, and there'll be great clarity at the proper time on how we'll manage that bureaucratically. But for the moment, if you've registered on your needs with FEMA relative to Hurricane Ian, similarly, we'll define exactly what might take place. We always suggest that people, once registered, update their concerns, and it'll be relative to that, updating, and we'll be giving them further direction specifically to the additional needs they may have as a result of Nicole. But for now, like I say, I hope they're in listening to local authorities, staying inside unless they absolutely have to go out and practice good safety procedures if they do.
Well, and this the assistance is more as a backup if there's underinsured or no insurance, specifically with flooding, because as we saw during Hurricane Ian, a lot of areas flooded that don't normally flood, well away from waterways, but it was a lot of freshwater flooding. So the best advice would be to call the insurance company first, right?
Yes, sir. We have to make sure that people take full advantage of everything they've intelligently put in place, and their insurance policy and their insurance adjuster would be the first place. But we're here to try and take care of every need that's possible. And after doing your local insurance adjuster and making sure you've exercised that fully, then we still ask people to get into the system. So that in the case of the National Flood Insurance Program that are partners at the disaster recovery centers, sometimes there's options there once we've executed, what they have personally.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with FEMA Deputy Federal Coordinating Officer Rob Patterson. Now, of course, we're talking about Hurricane Ian damage and then potentially some damage now after Hurricane and now Tropical Storm Nicole. We were talking also about the fact that FEMA needs people to help out with the damage assessments. Is that something that is still, something you're needing? Federal, help with feet on the ground to get through some of these areas.
Yes, sir. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has a local hire program, and we were looking for 360 some odd people. And actually, we had produced some videos, and we're getting that with the support of, good journalists like you all. I'm not sure exactly where that stands, but typically, and again, we only operate in the state at the request and declaration of the state, and then local and tribal authorities. But once we get into our programs, we definitely need local help, and it's part of our overall mindset of not doing anything anything but helping. And in addition to that, contributing to the local economy. And we realize that people may be out of work because of damages to their workplace and such. So we're still, as far as I'm aware, that's still active and ongoing. We haven't filled all the positions. And depending upon the impacts here with now Nicole, that'll roll right into that.
Rob, we literally have 30 seconds left, but where can we go to learn more about how to file for assistance with you? Literally have 30 seconds left, but if you can just tell us that real quick.
Well, there's 3 ways. The 1-800-621-3362, which is 1-800-621-FEMA. You can get our phone app if you have cellular connection, as well as FEMA.gov. And all 3 of those places you can get more information. And I would also encourage you to stay in contact if you have that connectivity with your local concerns and considerations as far as, fire, police, and emergency managers locally. And that'll be the best place to get current information. And then for our programs, those ways I mentioned will help you very much.
Rob Patterson, FEMA Deputy Federal Coordinating Officer, thank you so much for joining us here on Spectrum News 13. Really do appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
We continue now at 8:51 as we offer you our live team coverage with our severe weather experts walking us through why is so very important. I know that you probably have some storm fatigue, but to pay attention because now and for the next few hours is when we're going to feel the biggest intensity of the storm across Central Florida. Just because it's been downgraded to a tropical storm doesn't mean we're in the clear, right, guys?
Yeah, we still have some heavy squalls out there, still some high winds. We're looking at the storm surge threat along our east coast as we're at high tide right now, and we have plenty of power outages ongoing as well. So there's a lot still that we're tracking this morning.
Right, we always say no such thing as just a tropical storm. We've said that a lot, but it's important because the impacts are still the same, whether it's a Category 1 hurricane or a tropical storm, but with it moving on land, the intensity is coming down. And Chris is going to show you that in a moment. But first, let's take you to Melbourne Beach. Our camera there has the rough surf offshore, of course, the overcast and windy conditions. The wave heights, as detected by Clystron 13, up to 14 to 15 feet along our coast. Of course, they're higher when you go offshore. Time now is 8:52, so this is about high tide in Daytona Beach. Technically 8:53. Cocoa Beach, that was at 8:36. So the water levels we're experiencing right now will be among their highest from this event, but there will be another high tide later on tonight in the late 8 o'clock hour into the 9 o'clock hour, and then low tides this afternoon. So that is the coastal setup with the coastal erosion and the storm surge flooding. Wind gusts remain at tropical storm strength, even though the storm has moved inland. Melbourne at 46 miles per hour right now with a peak gust. And it's no surprise, Chris, that Brevard County is among the highest number of power outages that we're seeing from Clystron 13.
Yeah, we're looking at those power outages right now as we approach the 9 o'clock hour. And you can see most of them are in Brevard County, 86,000 without power there, about 20,000 without power in Orange County. And we are looking at those power outages also in Volusia County. So we had the strongest winds during the overnight hours there in portions of Brevard County. So it isn't a surprise that they are seeing the most power outages at this time. A live look at Clystron 13 radar showing that there's still a lot of rain to be had out there from Ocala down into the villages in Wildwood and Leesburg, stretching down toward Tampa and St. Pete. Will put Clystron 13 into motion. The storm is going to continue to move to the west and northwest, so we could see some of this rain that's in southeastern Osceola County, central and southern Brevard County, and kind of spin back toward Orlando and Kissimmee as the center of Nicole continues to track to the west and northwest. I think as we head toward about mid-afternoon, we'll start to see conditions improve. And this is a look at the wind field associated with Nicole. This is jumping ahead to 10 o'clock. So we're seeing the shades of yellow. Those are those tropical storm force winds around 40 miles per hour or higher. The orange is around 58 miles per hour. But notice those winds really continue to weaken as Nicole travels to the north across northern Florida. And by this evening, we're looking at the strongest winds pushing across the panhandle into northern Florida. So we are looking at improving weather, but that will take several hours still, likely by this afternoon. Ebeth? Eric?
Okay, thank you so much, Chris. And we're getting lots of messages from viewers, from people that we know. Hey, so it looks okay now. Just because it looks okay now, don't let your guard down, because that eye wall is doing its thing. So you may see a gap, a lull, a break in the clouds, but then it's going to come back.
Yeah, we get slapped by those bands that are still coming through.
Absolutely. Let's continue our live team coverage right now in Volusia County. Katie Strike joining us live in Daytona Beach. And every time we check in with you, Katie, that water behind you is getting higher and higher.
Yes, and for folks who are big NASCAR fans, this might look familiar to them. This is the International Speedway Boulevard, and you can just see, I mean, really within the last 10, 20 minutes, this continues to just, the flooding continues to rise and rise. It's not only raining here, but it's windy. And in the last, I want to say 5 minutes, we saw about a dozen Volusia County sheriff officers go over that bridge with their lights on. We don't know exactly why they went over there, maybe to do assessment damage, but we are figuring that out right now. We also are seeing a lot of energy companies going in and out of that bridge as well. But right now, that bridge towards Daytona Beach shore is closed to the public. We're not even able to go over there at this point in time, and we are continuing to monitor all of these conditions right now. If you are on the road, just because we're in Daytona does not mean you're a NASCAR driver. So make sure if you have to be on the road right now, you are taking it very slowly and being very safe. Live in Daytona Beach, Katie Strike, Spectrum News.
That is the phrase of the morning right there. Just because you live in Daytona Beach does not mean you have to drive like you're on the speedway.
I know. I'm so glad that she said that.
That is very, very good advice and very fitting advice, Katie. Thank you.
It is indeed. Listen, if you're joining us now at almost 9 o'clock, we want you to have a heads up that at 10:30, Governor DeSantis is going to be giving a press conference, and we're going to bring that to you live here in just a moment.
And I think we're going to the traffic center for a road check, and Jerry Hume. We're going to let him turn his mic on so he can give us a quick update.
Yes.
Hi, Jerry. Okay,
Hi.
Go ahead.
Hello, Eric and Beth. We're still watching some of those flooded concerns that you saw from Katie. You're also seeing here I-4 East. This is the express lane, or the express ramp to Central Florida Parkway. SeaWorld area, it's flooded. We've got the road rangers out here. They're trying to block that ramp right now. So, yeah, don't want to be stuck in that. We also are watching some other flooding concerns. Here's the 429. That ramp is flooded from Plant Street. We continue to track the latest with Nicole. You're watching Spectrum News 13.